Hey, how we doing? It's Don, the Auction Professor here. It is time for the live show again. I am sitting next to a horrendous stack of stuff that I've gotten in the last couple days. I get hit up on questions about that all the time. Now, I'm not going to, quote you that I'm going to make a fortune on the stuff we'll show you today. We're going to talk a lot about collectibles, I think, today. The wife's got a few things that we're going to talk about as well, too, that she does stuff with, too, that we do sell. I've just got a bunch of stuff. I pick smaller stuff, paper stuff. That's usually what I get asked the most questions on. Most people know the toys and, hard goods, I guess you could say, for the collectibles aspect of it. But with the paper, everybody has the questions. I get probably 10 times more questions on the paper, the collectibles, and most of what we sell than I do on almost anything else. So let me just get something big out of the way here. I've shown wood boxes on many, many occasions. This is a burl wood box. I paid $1 for it. Yeah, sorry about the reflections on this, but I paid $1 for it. It's a hand-carved vintage 1930s, 40s burl wood box. Paid $1 for it. Something like this, unfortunately, a reflection. Something like this, I'll probably sell for about 30 or 40 bucks. It's ugly. It's dirty looking. It's well made, it's handmade, it's vintage. You can tell it's made from one piece of wood that they cut out and mingled together. So again, this is something that I always look for, boxes. Wood boxes, I sell every one I think I've ever gotten. I don't think I've ever had an issue, even with like old packing boxes for like sardines and stuff. The wood boxes, like salted mullet and things like that, which you'll have to run into to know what I'm talking about or look them up. Stuff like that. Dates back to like the 1860s. So some of that stuff I actually can find from those ages. So wife's here too. We'll show a bunch of paper today. She's going to show some things as well too. And again, I've been buying more so than I really need to, or there she is, there's my better half. More so than I honestly need to. But again, if you don't keep buying from a picker, they don't want to call you anymore. So when they call you, you got to pick up and you got to get stuff. I haven't been to many garage sales at all. I haven't had to go to flea markets. I haven't had to go to antique malls. I've been to some estate sales, but the rest of it, I just don't need to. I got a video going up tomorrow, and I'm going to address the two types of sourcing, which would be random and targeted sourcing.
People are saying your voice sounds weird. Is there something wrong with the sound?
No, that shouldn't be anything wrong with the sound.
Oh, okay.
I've got a cold, so maybe it's just the cold here. We've had bad weather in here.
Yeah.
Yesterday was horrendous. The day that I had Chris on, what was that, Tuesday's live show, our power was off for a couple hours, and it just kind of set us back so much. I was not with it at all on Tuesday, so Tuesday just wasn't a good day. We had employees that we had to stop and start. We had to run Wi-Fi to keep laptops running until the batteries were dying down. So it was on and off with Wi-Fi from cell phones and the whole works, and bandwidth issues, the whole works. I can run a regular computer from my car, my laptop, which is our backup, but it's hard to run 5 laptops and a power or a server, and when the power's out, your Wi-Fi's out. So FYI, Hang on just a second. Where are you at? I don't see what you're talking about.
Their signal is a little off tonight.
Yeah, it might be a little. We've got a different color screen behind us, so it might need a little adjustment. There's not much I can do about it right now.
I'll just keep moving around
She'll have
my
to keep moving on
digitalized
there.
hair.
Yeah, sorry about that, folks. We got some green items to show you, and there's really no other way to do it without switching around. I know a lot of people don't mess with the green screen and all, but with the area that I'm in, it's just so tight, and I just would rather not have a bunch of cluttered stuff in behind. Most people who do shots, they're sitting farther back. I don't have that opportunity because I think every inch of everything that we have in our workspace is full. And then we have a huge place that we store a couple 100,000 records, as well as other things there, but it's mostly records. We got like 200 and maybe 60,000 records in stock right now. Most of them are not listed, just FYI, but we've gotten them for so cheap that, it's not a huge issue. You'll have to bear with us today.
Somebody asked if this is marked.
It is not marked the box, no. The signal-wise, we've had some horrendous storms through here, so I wasn't even sure if we would have a signal to go out. So part of the issue, I would imagine, is the reception and issues around here. We've got pretty much like a 95% cloud cover right this minute. So, some of the signals go, digitally wise through the air as well as wire. So I'm not really sure. We've got a hard wire in on laptop here for us now.
Almost flooded in the back too.
Yeah, we had to run outside, and one of the drains, we've got a steps going down into like a enclosure patio area that's technically below ground, and there's some drainage in there that was all new. It was all put new, and we've got so many of the little, I guess they're oak or maple pods.
Maple, like little helicopter.
Yeah,
seed
they
pods.
spin down, and they just flooded that.
Clogged it all up.
The wind, we were actually shopping today, and the wind was so bad that all the trees were, at like a 45-degree angle. We're talking some big ones. So, and it was just horrendously bad weather. There's been, flickering of the power and reception gone. I didn't even have cell phone reception earlier at all. So.
The next live will be from the bathtub.
No. No, we're in the toy room today. We're in the playroom today. Today is going to be, again, let me raise some of this. You can just kind of see. This is just one stack of what I'm going to show you. I've got photos, paper, postcards, labels. This is just from a few days. So people talk about, how to find stuff. I've got in one day more than most people find probably in a week if you're going for like clothing and stuff like that. I guarantee I'll outsource most people, even those doing RA with massive quantities, because the stuff that I get, I've just got so many people now that get it for us. We've got 8 straight people that actually call us and say, hey, come and get stuff. She's met most of them, not all of them. There's a couple she's never met, but for the most part, I'm buying big bulk, or I'm going to one source. And as I said, we're going to talk about tomorrow. I've got a video on targeted sourcing and random sourcing. I know that maybe you've never heard those comments in wording, but it's something. It's the 2 basic types of sourcing. I'll go into some depth in that, and it's not a huge long video, but I'll talk about that tomorrow. And it's a big thing. It makes a big difference what you go after, how you go after it, and how you can get this much stuff here. So it's just a typical couple days here. So
did you want to look at some?
Yeah, let's get to a few questions, and then I'll pop some items up here. Again, I've probably got like 200 items sitting over here, and this is just a portion of what we got. Again, I buy it in bulk. You can't beat bulk. And I know there's some other folks in here that, like in my Patreon group, that have now caught on, and there's several people that told me and showed me some pictures of one of their hauls. Somebody in my group for $7 got a huge assortment of stuff. Let's see who's in here. Duncan will know about these too. He got some indentured paperwork, which I just got the other day. He got some Civil War letters, newspapers from the Civil War era. I mean, all this for $7 at the end of an auction. So the stuff's out there. You just got to look for it. So, there isn't much I can't walk you to the source. You're going to have to reach out and find some of these places on your own. Local live auctions, number 1. Estate sales, number 2. Those are your number 1 and number 2 places if you don't have pickers. If you don't have companies, there's agencies and business people that you can actually hire that will just source for you. I don't know if most people are aware of that or not, but Duncan knows about it, and there's several other people on here that I've had conversations with that, in fact, one uses the service as well, too, and they do higher-end, like soda signs and soda shop paraphernalia. Vintage tables from the 40s and 50s, like the Saturn table, which is what we have.
Yeah,
we have
that's an awesome table.
Yeah, maybe I'll show. In fact, I think I've shown some pictures.
When I die, I'm taking it with me.
You bury yourself.
I'll find
in it.
a way to
disassemble
take it with me.
We bought a ratted out table with 6 chairs, captain's chairs. It was from 1949. It's a Saturn table with the Saturn rings around with the little balls between the chrome tubing.
Oh, I love that table.
And we had it totally, all the chairs just totally redone. It used to be in some green and red, like flower pattern.
Yeah, it was really horrible.
Now we've got it in a geometric, well, that's beside the point. We'll show you some pictures here. It's not worth describing it there. Welcome, everybody. I see Duncan's already first. I've got Aaron. Welcome. Those in Patreon, which I see quite a few already. I've already got another video up in Patreon right now. It just went up like 20 minutes before the live show. It's an hour long, or maybe just a border over an hour. I cropped it down from an hour and a half is what I recorded. You might see the rest of the footage in another video, but it's one of the longer ones. For those who are, and I'm not trying to push the Patreon thing, but I don't want to miss anybody here on some of what's going on. corresponds to the last Amazon video we just talked about. So there's a ton of questions in there, and I mean a ton. I had to print up 10 pages of questions for just you guys on Patreon. So anyway, a show starting stream would be cool. I'm actually working on the whole works. You're going to see some little animation, and you're going to see some clips in the beginning. I'll probably run the show. It'll start a few minutes early so everybody have time to get in. And it'll just be some sneak stuff to watch. It'll be historical content and things like that. A lot of public domain, but you guys know I go and search out and eyeball and weird stuff. So, it's going to be something interesting. You'll probably see something like that. I've got a new countdown that we're working on right this minute. That's a public domain countdown. Again, I've got stuff to replace this coming up real soon here.
Look what happened. That's awful.
Hang on, let's get down. Let's not miss anybody. Hey, Annie, how are you doing? Welcome. Peace to you as well. Hustle and Grind Calgary, welcome as well. Hey, how do you ship print ads? Yeah, I see that. Sandwich, I do ship them in cardboard. If you're talking about like a standardized magazine print ad, I literally just, I guess you'd say sandwich it as well. Watch the video. I've got one in the last, say, month or so, maybe a little longer than that, on how I ship media. I think it says Ultimate Media Shipping Guide. Just type that in my playlists for how to, and there's actually how I do sheet music, and that's the exact same way that I do any type of paper, including print ads. I've never had an issue. I always put do not bend. It's usually at least 3 pieces of cardboard, stiff cardboard, running in usually the same direction, but you got to tape them up really tight. I've never had a piece of paper bent like that since I've done it that way. I who knows with everybody else. I can't guarantee how you wrapped it, but watch that video, Audrey. I've had issues way in the past before we switched it around, but I don't know when we've had a damaged item. I had one record that was cracked, and that was from a global shipping program, so I'm not responsible. It made it to eBay. Anything that makes it to eBay and GSP, and they don't say anything about it, and they ship it out to the destination in whatever country it's going to, eBay is fully responsible for anything getting damaged in that box. So eBay covered the record in a second. They removed any feedback if it was left. I never even saw any feedback from it. I didn't do anything wrong, so that's the only issue I've had with the damaged good that I can think of at all in like a year or two.
Sweet.
Best Friend is giving a free lecture tonight. Yeah, well, thank you, AC. Transferring 270 photos I just took to my eBay folder for some listing fun. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, Annie. We literally, I don't know how you store them, but we just store them on a chip, and then they go anywhere we go. Or on my server here. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got a server in facility, too, so we run a network in here, and it's on a subnet with a separate firewall as well, too. So even if somebody got into the house, I'd catch them before they got to my subnet. But anyway. Let's see. Tuning in from hospital. Can't miss it. Well, I'm not saying it's that important to worry about yourself at the hospital, or hopefully there's nothing serious going on. We've been to the hospital. Okay. Yeah, we've been to the hospital with a child many, many times lately.
Oh, yeah.
More so than I would ever care to for a child. But anyway. Hey, John, how are you doing? Got a cold. Yeah, I've had issues. I had the video for the Patreon. Maybe I talked too long on Tuesday. I don't know, but I run long. I know I'm long-winded, but the video I did for Patreon, yeah, it's got in my throat. It took me like over 2 hours to film it because I had to keep stopping my throat and sinuses and stuff.
Your voice was going.
Yeah, maybe it's going a little bit. The weather around here in sinus and allergy season, there's pollen. The trees are all bloomed, and it's just been, really bugging me lately. So anyway, I'm sure it's that. I can't tell. My ears are a little muffled right now. The weather's been bad, and, anyway.
You need a vacation.
Merrick X7, how you doing? Yeah, we're probably going to take a date night maybe this week and go out. Usually we do it on the weekdays, just because, weekends we can accomplish some better stuff, I guess you could say.
Get a big bloody steak.
Yeah, we're going to go to a steakhouse probably and get a ribeye. Ribeye's my favorite. I think that's yours too. Yeah. Medium rare. How you doing, Blake? Welcome. Yeah, I probably do sound sick. Sounds like a voice changer. No, it's not. It shouldn't be a voice changer. There's no change in any of my mic or any of that kind of stuff that I'm aware of. No, everything looks like it's the same.
Are you gonna mess it up now?
No, it's all the way where it should be. Unless there's... Let me just make sure. Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure I don't have any. It's probably just my the cold and stuff. So I don't know if I start to lose my voice, I may cut it off a little early. But Carl saying hi too.
Hi.
Is the box has
And that's what I
markings?
asked.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sorry. Greetings, Black Crystal. How are you doing as well? Hey Sue, how are you doing? Yeah, the cartoon that the countdown in the beginning is from a public domain. I've got 2 or 3 of them, but I'd really want my own that ties into the channel. If you the credit you've seen since I've started the channel, I actually created that. That's all items that I sold or had up at the time, and I literally cut them all out one by one from my eBay photos, and then animated them in. Had to reverse it and a bunch of stuff. So I love playing around with that. I do it even if I wasn't doing the YouTube channel, just FYI. Hey Lex, how are you doing? For both of us, I am sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. The signal's a little off. Yeah. I can't. There's nothing I can do with the weather. I know digitized. It's probably the weather. In all honesty, as I said, power was out, phone lines were out. The cell tower out here must have had some issue too, because I was out in where were we? At Kroger's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had no signal in Kroger's. I've never not had a signal in Kroger's. I couldn't scan anything in Kroger's. We use the Kroger's app too. You can actually go into Kroger's with your phone once you downloaded the app, and you can actually shop from your phone and scan the items with your phone. So when you get up to the counter, they can just, I guess, get the app off there. They actually will pack and grocery shop for you too. But
Oh,
I can't do that. We shop ourselves. Yeah, I could never do that. Nothing wrong if that's your thing, but play a standard tone. I can't do that. You're hearing it. I'm sure it's off. Diane, how are you doing?
Hello.
Welcome. Hey Scott, how are you doing?
The dog's right here.
Things that are fixed to cardboard, I wouldn't mess with unless it's in fact, let's show you a couple items. If it's a cabinet card, like a photo that's attached to something. Now let's get you
That
see
corner's
this.
a little
Yeah, the
creased.
corner's down, just why it's in the plastic. Oh boy, the reflection's weird off of
Yeah.
that. Okay, this is a 1870s, maybe even before that, lumbering scene, lumberjacks, and this is what would be called. It's basically a large album card or a mid-sized album card. If it's mounted to a card, something like this, a photo, it's legit. This is a $1 purchase. No idea where it was taken, but as a occupational lumberjack photo, yeah, you just disappeared on me with the light. Yeah, this would be like probably about $50 I would get out of this. Let's see here. So again, it just depends on what you got. Now, I've shown stereo views as well. She disappears when I do that.
It's magic.
It's magic. Let's do this. So
That's funny.
yeah, that is weird. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. But this is a stereo view here. I got a bunch of these, and they're from I think it's Mackinac Island, and it's a series. These are from like the 1860s or 70s. Photos mounted on cards are great. These are early. They're squared off. Now, I've talked about specifically these type of items. I think it's probably the weather. I don't know. I can see. I'm looking at YouTube. I'm assuming we've got some digitized issue maybe. Again, there's not much I can do about it at this point.
Our computer's got a virus. Oh.
No, I'm sure our computer doesn't have a virus. But just to show you, I mean, these were $1 a piece as well. You can look these up. The person's on here. I think these date to the very latest, like 1868, if I'm not mistaken, some of these. It's a well-known photographer. His name is P.D. Green. It's a Chicago company. But again, these are all for local. This is a place I've actually been, Mackinac Island. In fact, we haven't been there together, but probably one of our destinations. If you've ever seen the movie Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeves,
yeah.
they filmed that movie on the island at the Grand Hotel. The hotel he goes into trying to go back in the time travel in the past. You got to see the movie. It's actually a really good movie. Jane Seymour's in it, yeah. It's an early, obviously he's passed away since, but we were a big fan of his, and having been on the same hotel and stood on the deck and stuff, I thought it was really neat. To walk on the deck when I was younger, I don't know how it is now, but just to walk onto the front decking of the hotel, you have to have a tie on after a certain time of the day. It's a real luxury hotel. At least it was that way, 20 plus years ago. Again, the Grand Hotel, Mackinac Island, didn't used to be a bridge when I was first went there.
Never been.
She hasn't been. It's all the way up Upper Peninsula area of Michigan. But that's where, these are taken at. Really interesting place. At one point, you couldn't have a car on there and things like that. It was just locals could have a car, or you could rent like a horse carriage. Nowadays, it's all golf carts, but let's see here. Cold start in Sydney. I'm listing pizza later. Then package so a full day. No rest for the wicked. Yeah, no rest for the wicked. Squirrels are doing good as well too. I wouldn't mess with those, Scott. Stuff mounted on cardstock. Unless it's supposed to be. Don't mess with stuff on that. There's no real way to safely make sure you can get it off. And most of what you do to it will ruin the item. So just keep that in mind a little bit there on stuff like that.
From Canada.
In Moncton, Canada. Well, have not been to there. We're actually probably going to go to Niagara Falls sometime this year. We were talking about it right now.
I'd like to go to Canada.
So I've got we're going to get hers here in probably next week or so.
Passport.
Yeah. Just in time, how are you doing? Rusted Raccoon, welcome.
Yeah, that's the bathtub.
Yeah, I got that one there. Hey, Mimi, how are you doing?
How do you ship print?
I think I got to that one already. I know these were probably put up for. Let's go down some more questions.
Oh, yeah, that is the peach coca.
Yeah, it's pretty much all you see around here.
Yeah.
The kids love it too, but we get them raspberry. Oops, it just bounced around. Hang on, the feed just disappeared again. It's got to be a weather issue here on our end.
Or just bad luck.
Yeah, it could just be bad luck. Yeah, let's see where we're at on YouTube. Yeah, I can see the screen there. If you haven't hit the like button, just pop on that like button for us. It always helps us out, obviously. And again, if you are watching this later on and you have questions, put them down in the description there. I do my best to get to some of them. If it's an important issue, I do skim through some of them too. Let's see here. There were tornadoes in Dayton and Beaver Creek, I heard. Yeah, there were tornadoes the other day through the Columbus area as well, which is the place we go down and stay in Hocking Hills.
I have family in there.
And trees down. We got some text pictures and stuff too. We almost ran down to Columbus just to give a hand, but it just wasn't worth all the hassle and, with the issue with traveling after a storm like that. But we had a bad storm in here the last, 2 or 3 days.
I grew up on the Gulf Coast, so I'm used to hurricanes.
She's used to them, yeah.
Yeah.
Outsource sounds like a challenge. Let's see here. Going through some vintage perfume. Now, vintage perfume does very well. I just sold an empty perfume bottle from Lacona, France, I think is the brand in origin. And I got $50 for an empty perfume bottle. If it was full, it would be like 1,000. So obviously not. Let's see here. I've seen roller skating labels. Talk about roller skating labels. This is what I got. Oh boy, that's pretty terrible with the light.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we'll fix this up for the next show. These are some roller skating labels that I got. That one has blue in it, so that one doesn't help. Again, $1 or so a piece is what I average in most of these. These are brand new ones. I just got these in, I think, yesterday or the day before. This set's pretty cute here. Unfortunately, it's a little hard to see. Elephants on that one. Bears on that one. Love bugs or something on that one. There's Delwood. A lot of these are New Jersey. This one's Maryland. Again, this is what I find. These are literally unused roller skating labels. Another one here. In fact, there's 2. So again, they come in all different sizes. This is just from a couple of days. I got roller skating labels twice this week now. This is from one batch, and I got some more from another batch. The other batch I got probably twice this. So this week I probably got like 20. Well, so far this week I probably got 20 roller skating labels. Yeah. I love labels, so I always buy labels. Here's a really interesting. She loves them too. We love the box labels. I think you can see that here. Maybe it's a little off with the screen.
The blue screen.
Yeah, I think you can see it now. This is actually a 1920s label. It has nothing to do with Milwaukee. This is actually from Panama Canal. It's a U.S. company that made this, from what I understand. U.S. owner, actually, on that. But this is something, again, I paid $1 for. I've seen this one before. Once. So, I knew what it was right off the bat. I knew how old it was. $1 on this one here. This one's probably worth about $150 maybe, somewhere in that range. Like those stereo views, $20 minimum on each one of those stereo views. As I said, the lumberjack photo's way more than that. Here's a couple more now. You can't see this one here with the reflection. Yeah. Unfortunately, the blue not showing up. They're the same. Again, 2 more 1930s labels, $1 a piece, even with some rips in them. It's something I'm going to be able to get. Good money, $150 on this one, and I'll probably get like $40 on each one of these. So,
and like the chocolate labels from the candy wrappers and stuff, those are neat.
oh yeah, she had some that she listed not too long ago. They were, oh geez, I want to say it was Russell Stover's labels from like the 1890s.
Yeah, it was before it was Russell Stover.
Yeah, like Keebler, the Keebler company, Keebler Elves. Trade cards. There's trade cards with Jeffrey Keebler. That's all it says. It doesn't say Keebler, the big cookie company. It doesn't have any elves on it. Those are his cards. Those are the founder of Keebler, the cookie company. So I run into stuff like that. We've had Levi's jeans trade card once before that was a pair of jeans.
Yeah,
that
I remember those. That was cool.
You had to open it up, and it was actually advertising for Levi jeans. It was really neat. I sold it for like $275.
Yeah.
So again, this stuff's dirt cheap. This is just random selection. This isn't something I've sorted through or did anything special to. This is literally a typical couple days in here. This is on the other hand, these are just transportation labels. I mean, that's all these are. This is a ton of transport. Again, blue, unfortunately, a ton of them. This is just this last couple days. No exaggeration. Clipper ships. I've probably got, maybe 120 luggage labels of some sort. No, this came from a picker, so I don't know how long he's taken to actually find that amount of material. I hadn't seen him in probably 2 weeks, so maybe he had him sitting there. I don't usually ask. Whatever he brings or I go see he's got out is what I look at. I know for sure he doesn't show me everything he gets all the time. He sets stuff aside. I think he does it for, to only have so much money so he doesn't spend it. I don't know his whole financials or anything like that, but when you're picking, this is what you got to do. You got to hook up with clients and people that can, hook you up with stuff. As I said, I've got pickers, but it's taken me, a hell of a long time to do that, to get to this point. Hang on just a second here.
Ooh, it went to
totally
nothing.
went
Lost it.
Lost wrong. Let me go back over here and see if we can see it. Well, thank you very kindly,
Thank you,
Jeffrey, for the $10 super chat. I honestly and graciously appreciate that. Thank you very kindly. Yeah, Patreon. I do have a Patreon. I'm not really super on promoting it, unfortunately. I always forget to say stuff like that sometimes. But again, thank you, Jeffrey. Yeah, I used to put a little logo in the front of my videos, but I didn't want to be like everybody thinking I'm just trying to market everything. But
give me the money.
Yeah, that's not really me. I just found it.
Ooh.
Hang on, let me see if make sure I didn't miss anything because it did bounce. Remember?
Yes, it did.
Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. I think we missed like a whole section.
Oh yeah, you probably did. Oh yeah, you did.
Well, we're getting closer. Again, sorry folks. Our feed, again, it might be worse because of the weather here. We're closer here. I think this is right. Yeah, I'm from Dayton area. I am intimately familiar with 100% of the area that are practically destroyed. Crazy. Picked a good time to move to Florida last year. Yeah, I'm happy where we're at. We did live in Florida for a long time.
I missed the not having to shovel snow.
Yeah, guess what kids are for? Snowblower, I guess. Anthony, hey Don, what are your thoughts on using term pre-war on items non-military from 1920s? I don't usually put pre-war. Well, I'll take that back. If you're listing like a 78 record, if you see pre-war, usually it means it's pre-World War I. It depends on the type of music. If it's big band and they say pre-war, it's literally pre-World War II. So I guess you could put that in there. I don't see that would be an issue depending on the item. The record-wise, it's been a standard to put pre-war on it for some reason. Just like pre-prohibition or things like that for beer labels and things. In fact, going back to the beer labels, pre-prohibition is something you'll see on beer labels, along with the IRC warning. You'll see they put on them as well too. For the most part, I do put them on record, so it depends on the item again, what you're putting them on. Where's the whiskey? No whiskey tonight.
No whiskey tonight.
No.
I don't think it would go well with peach Coke. I don't know.
No, I think that would be
a
pretty
little
bad.
gross.
A little too sweet. Just in time, nice. Landed a clean out this morning. Well, congratulations. Thomas Hughes, ever buy out estate sales? Yes, we do that as well too. We have some dealings with estate sales, and I will actually go and tell them what stuff's worth, just sometimes to either get a first look at what they have and know where the item's going to be, or in some cases they'll sell me stuff before the actual sale goes on. And it depends. Usually it goes down to whether the owner is okay with selling it before the sale. Once they put a price on it, most owners, if the owner's there when I'm doing like a estimate or appraisal on something, most owners, if I say, hey, it's worth so much, if you're interested in selling it, I'll give you such and such right now. May be different on the day of the sale because, I may have bought it already, or I may have run into something. That's usually what I say, something along that line. Usually it gets me at least, early spot line sometimes. Worst case scenario, I know what's at the sale, and I know whether it's worth me going back to wait in line.
And you tell me if they have toys.
Usually, yeah, or I'll send a picture back home or something like that. But that's about it. Flipping, have you finished cleaning it out? Started sorting yet? Working with 15th century documents this week. Well, congratulations, Duncan.
Holy
that sounds pretty
moly,
interesting.
That is.
I've just got a few from the 15th century, and they're usually like leaflets from books and things like that. We've had
neat.
tons of them. We usually buy those down south on the Gulf Coast areas where we used to find them. Since the hurricane, though, it's been zip. Haven't found one down south. We used to find them all the time, too. There was a couple rare book and sellers like that we dealt with. When are you releasing your Frog Astronaut postcard? I actually have a couple more designs we're working at. So you're going to see a couple more time lapses on that. And once all the designs are done, they're going to go off to a printer all at the same time. Just because it's cheaper for me, and everybody knows I'm cheap, so I can get them all shipped at once and lower my cost per card, considerably. So I can bulk ship them. I won't do the rush service or anything like that. It'll just get shipped out. I do have several people that were asking on the color tests, which I did get a chance to scan. I just haven't had a chance to get them up. I've got 4 color tests that I hand did. If you're on my Instagram, I've got a little video that shows a minute worth of the process to get to the painting point. So if you're interested in something like that, it's just a quick 1 minute on all the steps I took, where the first drawing to, messing around and adding details to checking the color. And you can see what the color tests are. I will have 4 of those for sale in the next, week, probably by the next live show, if there's anybody that's interested. I do have first dibs for one person here who I have dealt with and done some interactions with. So I will have the first one reserved for one person, but there's still going to be 3. Again, it's hand watercolored stuff. They're just tests. $25 is what I usually get out of them. So, it's not like I'm making a ton of money. I've got, time into it and, effort in the whole works. Plus the watercolors that I use, it's an expensive process to be able to watercolor on printed paper, believe it or not, because the watercolors I use are paintbrush markers that are expensive. They're in lines of Coptic, or how you pronounce the very expensive ones. So anyway,
Just say expensive ones.
they're expensive. Let's just put it that way. It was timing, and I take some time to think about the colors before I do it. So it looks like a cartoon posterish, I guess you could say. But anyway, you will see them, J.I. Let's see, I picked it over 2 years ago, and now it's time to clean up. Some nice stuff there. Yeah, I've been to some places that we've went 2 or 3 times. There are some times that have a living estate sale. If you don't know what a living estate sale is, it'll be when the folks are still alive, and part of the house will only be available to look through, and they'll clean out part of their estate. Maybe they're going to retirement community, or they just don't want to have around a lot of stuff if something happens to them for their kids to deal with. In some of those cases, I'll deal with those kind of folks too. At one time, we thought about actually doing estate sales, but I don't want to have to worry about getting a auctioneer license or hiring an auctioneer at the end of the day, because a lot of times you buy out, or a lot of the people buy out the rest of the estate sale, which is we've done that too. We've bought out leftovers at estate sales occasionally. Yeah. I don't want to mess with the space. I don't want to have to rent a warehouse until we're up to the point where it's not going to be any big deal for us. We're almost there now, just because sales have been skyrocketed here. So. I haven't been able to keep up. I mean, it's just one thing after another with listing and everything else and sourcing. We're right there trying to decide on hiring one more person, and I don't know where we're going to go with that right now, but we may hire one more, maybe 10. I only can hire 12 people without having to pay more for my accountant. So, we're fast approaching it. I never thought we'd even have to deal with any employees technically. You know, started off with the kids, and now we're, you know, got a house full of people that come in nowadays.
We
So
should have just had more kids.
yeah, we should have had 8, 10 kids, and we'd be all set. Though some of them probably wouldn't like it, though, so who knows. Well, welcome, Jeffrey. Glad to have you on the live show, and thanks again for that. Yeah, load up and sort it home. We've done that on vintage advertising sign video in the future. Yeah, I've talked about vintage advertising sign. In fact, let me show you a couple that I just got. Talking about that, as I said, I buy everything that you could imagine. I don't care what it is. If it's money, I'm gonna buy it. I think I got some sign in here, if I'm not mistaken. Thought I had some.
Oh, so you're lying, huh?
Oh, here's an advertising poster. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see. It's a long one here. This is for
Just turn your head sideways.
Pompiano Massage Cream. This is like a window card that would have been advertised in a window. I think I got $2 into this. I expect to get something like 50 to say $75 for this right here. So I know I got a poster or two in here somewhere.
You'll find it after
Yeah,
the
after
show.
the show. No, I'm pretty sure I got a couple posters in here. Yeah, that's an advertising. Here's something neat too. Yeah, they said I just grabbed some paper, and this again is just some random assortment of. Oh, here's a poster.
That's adorable.
There's a poster there. This is a little.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, you didn't. I just got it in. Okay, this is a poster. This is an advertising sign. May not look like it, but how do I get it where it doesn't make you disappear on me? There, you can kind of see it here. Again, we'll fix the lighting
I'll be here in
issues.
spirit, don't worry.
We'll fix the lighting issue soon. But this is an advertising piece. It's got design patent on the back. It's got a stand thing so you can hang it or mount it on the wall. I paid $2 for this. I don't think they knew that this is from the 1870s or 80s. This is probably, it's quack medicine. Probably going to get like $75 for it. You know, I'm going to put at least 75 on it. I wouldn't take probably less than 50. I've never seen Dr. C.W. Benson's skincare at all. Rather interesting piece. Raphael Tuck. Now, I've talked about Raphael Tuck. I don't think you're disappearing now. Raphael Tuck. This is a calendar card that's minus the calendar right here. Now, I'll buy these as well, too. Somebody's ripped off the staples. Being a Raphael Tuck from the 1890s, missing the calendar or not, I'm going to put $57.50 minimum. I may even put $75 on this. I would not doubt that I've got 3 people that just buy Raphael Tuck. I wouldn't doubt for a minute that I would sell this for at least $50. No question about it. And it's nothing special. Printed in Saxony. So that's kind of odd for Raphael Tuck. It's a British company, so I don't know why it would be printed in Saxony. So that's kind of odd. Saxony is in Germany. So just FYI. Here's another advertisement for Sweet Home Soap. This was $1. And I don't even think I paid $1, honestly. I have not had this one, so I don't know the value on it. Most of these soap ones I get $10, $15 for most. I'll let the wife show hers in just a minute here.
That.
Now, it's a little off because of the screen, the green screen or blue screen. This is a advertisement. I've got about 17, I think, of these different ones that I've acquired over the last, say, maybe 3 weeks. This is advertising celluloid eyeglasses. Unfortunately, again, it's blue. So anyway, maybe we'll have to do pick out the blue stuff this time. Here's another advertising piece. This is for an actress named Catherine Lewis. No idea who she is. Probably some 1880s Catherine Lewis. Yeah, probably some just random stage star actress from the 1880s. Nice eyes. This is basically a trade card, like a non-sports trade card from the 50s would be back then. So eyes-wise, there's no standards for any of this stuff. So, you know, that's just an outside. Oh, yeah.
That is cute.
Yeah, I thought there's a cat. I think I got a cat that goes with that, too. Hang on, as I said, I got a lot of paper stuff over here. I just grabbed some. There's the key. Oh. Now, these always go for it. All these. Yeah. These are basically some sort of die cut. Pug dog here. You should know this dog. I've talked about this. I did a video just on pugs. If you don't buy vintage pug stuff, you know, you're missing out.
You're crazy.
You are crazy. These stuff all sells. I sell everything as long as I put pug in the title. And I actually found a reference for the Victorian illustrations with animals, specifically dogs, and it tells you the variety of the dog that they are based on the illustration. There's one set standard for all illustrations of pug dogs from that era. They all look the same. Rat terriers or Boston terriers, every illustration I have seen from the Victorian era has copied off the other ones, so they're all the same. So there's an easy way to tell on stuff like that. So, you know, that's just what I look for. Again, these are 50 cents. These are in one of those bins that just has a bunch of junk thrown in it. And I don't care. I'll look through that stuff first. You know, I find a lot of stuff, even in toys, that people will pass up to get to, and I talked about this. People go after what they know, and they go after the Star Wars figures, and they'll pass by a Mark's, like a Robin Hood set or something, just sitting there, or some characters or figures from, like some of the other Mark sets, like Tinykins or something like that. And, you know, they're missing out on the more expensive thing to get a $20 Star Wars figure, when they passed by Mark's little tiny army figures that were worth probably 50 or 60 bucks a piece. You know, you gotta know what's the biggest priority when you go to one of these places. Why don't you let's let the wife show what she's got here, because I know it's one of her big fad loves that she's got. She's got a lot of these kind of things.
And it's not blue.
Yeah, it's not blue. This is part of the reason we've switched the background in the back for a minute. You'll have to back up probably on it. Yeah.
Wait, my finger's stuck in there.
This is a Tree-Tot family treehouse. I'll let her go into
like
the
Kenner.
details. I'll hold it if you want to show. Go ahead, I'll hold it.
Oh, okay. And it opens like this. Oh,
There's a button on the bottom.
fiddles.
Now, we're going to show you a little secret about these in a minute here, too. For those of you who have seen these, this is a Kenner manufactured item. I think you got the complete thing in here.
Yeah, I got the little table. I don't have the mother's rocking chair.
Yeah, I thought we bought. I thought that's in that little bag.
Oh, maybe it's in one of the bags.
On these things, the biggest thing that breaks is the swing little chain. So if you find them, that's usually what's wrong.
And the steps. The steps come apart.
Yeah, the other thing, as the wife says here, this is usually missing off of them.
Yep.
And let me set this down for a second here.
Dog.
We buy them in big bulk lots. I don't care if it's broken, and I'm going to show you why in just a second here. I've got 4 of these right now. That's why I'm telling you. This is another one. You can see it's different. It's missing the pieces.
Yep.
As I said, it's broken here. I can get a single damaged one like this for just a couple dollars. These come apart. I take these apart and I put them together. So I might take 2 or 3 of these that I paid $1 or $2 for. I'll take these apart. There's screws. You've got to know how to snap the little plastic tabs off. I use dental picks and dental tools to do that. And I put together a couple good ones out of some damaged ones. I can still sell these in bulk lots at the end. I get more than my $2 back out of this. I'll probably get $5 or $10 out of this one. I'll repair it. The one she just showed you, she bought most of it together, but I did replace. This stairwell on here is from that one. I've switched them now and put the broken one back on
that
here.
One's broke.
Yeah, here, let me. Now here's another one. This one's another one that she got. Not the one, obviously. This is a broken one. This is a strap here, the piece that's always broken on these. You might just see one of these little chairs in a bag somewhere. Savers is the #1 place we used to find stuff like this.
I love Savers.
The figures are all about the same. There's a lighthouse. There's a boat set. There's like 5 or 6 different sets. She's also got a amusement park set by the Tree-Tots as well, too. So there's at least 5 or 6 sets of Tree-Tots. It wasn't a super line. Star Wars, if you did not know, actually produced a line. It was going to be an Ewok treehouse. I do not believe it was ever produced, if I'm not mistaken. I do have the Ultimate Star Wars licensing guide here that I've had for years. It's an older one. I don't think they have all the licenses that were picked up from 83 on in that book, because the Ewoks, this would have been tied in with the Ewok cartoon show, which only lasted for a few years. Again, it was basically the exact same treehouse, just like you see for the Weebles with the Winnie the Pooh. Isn't that what the other one is? The Winnie the Pooh? And
the Winnie the Pooh treehouse, and they had the Tarzan Weevils.
Tarzan was the other one, yeah.
Some of these don't even have... it's been rubbed off. But a lot of people repaint these in all kinds of crazy
funky
ways.
styles and stuff, too. Why don't you show them some of the beds and show them what to look for in there?
Oh.
I think you do have a rocking chair, I thought.
I just put it down.
Yeah, she has the complete
The
Tree-Tot
rocking
set.
chair's got like... You want to show that little lip on
See if you can see that there. There is a little lip on this. I know this doesn't seem like much.
And that's just a chair.
It doesn't seem like much, but a rocking chair goes for $15 on its own. So it's a little piece of plastic. Does it say anything on the bottom? It says GMFGI on the bottom of it. So nothing you'd recognize. These are from 1975.
Yep.
Again, the chairs. These chairs you can get $4 or $5 a piece for them any day of the week. I sell parts. We'll take stuff apart sometimes and just sell the parts.
There's 2 different beds, a yellow and a...
Yeah, I think one of these may go to the lighthouse set. Again, look up tree tots if you're curious. The completed tree tot house that she's got right there is worth over $100. Complete with everything to it in good condition.
This one goes to the
beach or the marina set.
He's got little shorts on. He's gonna have himself a good time.
Let me set this reach back over there. Again, I got a bunch of those now. We'll take them all apart. You can find those at estate sales. You can find them at auctions all the time. Even garage sales, I found one of those at last year. Again, I haven't been to, I think, but one garage sale or two this entire year. I know everybody's bombing the garage sales, but I don't need to.
Some questions.
Let's see here.
Henry.
Let me pop down to some questions here.
Henry, stop licking that.
Welcome, Stony Creek Picker. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Welcome, Michelle, too. We are in Ohio, too, as well. Well, thanks, just in time on the bottle cap video. We've bought bottle caps for years because she's in Minnesota. I've known about bottle caps for 20 years.
Yeah.
Did you not say you've got bottle caps for Pepsi?
My dad, when he was deer hunting, came across an old Pepsi thermometer, that red one, nailed to a tree.
Yanked it off and brought it home to her.
I was like, oh.
She's got several soda shop thermometers. If you want to see signs and advertising, I do have a soda shop video from way last year. So when it does go into signs, I show a bunch of signs, mostly Pepsi, but there's some other ones in there as well too. So it's basically a soda shop, soda item, advertising item video, and it talks about all the different types of items you can get for any type of soda. So again, I've got almost 500 videos up now that are all the same type, bolos and what to look for, what to do, and all that kind of stuff as well too. So welcome, Penny. Do we have laser beam security systems? We probably should for you, just in case. I don't want any spiders sneak in there, Duncan.
He's got him trained.
Annie, I know you don't like the cloud, but I store my photos on Dropbox since I have a biz account for my design work with tons of storage they're backed up to. Yeah, I've thought about that in the past. I don't do any... We do store photos occasionally online. I will say I do that. We're in the process right now of probably going to have a business account on Dropbox as well. For the Patreon videos, they may be not even on Amazon or not on YouTube anymore. I'll be able to put different content on without having to worry about getting dinged that way. I've got a friend who's going to, he's supposed to show me what he's got set up on there, and we're going to probably go from there with videos that way. It just depends. So I'm still looking at that right now.
Right there.
Let's see here. 1950s plastic coat spray paint canceled 29. Did I undersell this? Yeah, you probably did. I'd have to see the can. It depends on the artwork on it. If you are shipping that, a spray can or spray paint can with paint in it that is still under pressure cannot be sent through regular mail. Well, it can be sent through regular mail, but you've got to send it marked ground only, and it has to be very carefully packed up. We actually printed off, and I've followed the U.S. Post Office guidelines. I double bag them, and I buy a special container for every time I do that. So I add a couple bucks in to cover the expense of a airtight container to put the actual spray cans in. I've touched on this before because we do sell spray cans. You've seen some of the ones we've had. The older, the better. But again, you have to ship them ground. It's under pressure. It still has flammable material inside of it. Even if it's 50 years old, 60 years old, if it has paint in it. So you got to be very careful. You'd hate to have a risk on something happening and getting yourself in some big trouble. Hey, junk girl, how are you doing? Not hard to hit thumbs up. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. I'm not sure where we're at. Let me pop over and see. Yeah, if you could hit the thumbs up button, that would be awesome. We were over 100 people and only got 51 thumbs up. So, yeah, it's everybody's prerogative. I always get the same amount of thumbs down usually. There's 2 people that go before it starts that always do it. No, I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me. Not gonna hurt my feelings at all.
You can make my dog sad.
Yeah, our dog's crying down here. Yeah, mama's boy dog down there. Squirrels are still there. They shut up after the storm, too.
Oh, yeah. My little petunia came by.
Sir Thrift's a lot welcome. Now you get lucky to get people to wear shoes and socks.
Oh, gosh.
Can you speak trade card paper? Oh, I'm sorry.
Soak?
Yeah, I would never put anything in water. A lot of the early trade cards are printed with a clay technology.
Oh,
They put clay on the paper first, and then the ink or the printing itself is on clay. So the minute you get it wet, the clay it eats away the finish, and then the clay pretty much floats everything off, and the images are gone. We did that years ago on a couple, and I'll never do it again because it was a very expensive item. So I just won't mess with them.
You live and learn.
You live and you learn. I mean, with stamps, you're semi-safe with the stamp. I wouldn't steam it either. There's another way to do it that's much safer. There are some chemicals that will take off the glue from a stamp. I'll just say that. I'm not going to go into details because I only pretty much go into stamps on Patreon just because it's one of the areas that I do a lot in, and I'm not going to share it to everybody. I just can't give away all the secrets.
Unicorn blood.
Unicorn blood. Yeah, it's unicorn blood's the secret to that one, as the wife says. So, yeah. Let's see. Let me slip down. It's extremely risky on any of that kind of stuff. The reason too, not just because of the clay, the technology to set ink on some cases was not what it is these days. If you've ever seen like pre-1920s paper that has red ink on it, and if you've ever seen even a drop of water get on that red ink, a printed ink, not even handwriting ink, it'll dye the whole area around red, even from a little tiny drop if you don't catch it. So the ink-wise is the issues with any of that stuff. You put it in especially hot water. You know, it's even worse than cold water. Let's just put it that way. I know people say, well, they do it with stamps and they do it with this. You do what you want, but, you know, the minute you lose and ruin something that's expensive, I doubt you want to do it again. And we went through that. We lost some money years ago on that.
Just had to watch it happen.
Had to watch it happen. We could just sit there. By the time we even got it out of the water, and as soon as we saw what was happening, the whole surface structure of the card was gone.
I was like, well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, so and even after it dried, you could pretty much, all was flaky, and you could just almost blow off the entire surface image of the card. Old photos can do that. DAGs especially, and things like that too. Daguerreos, Daguerreos, I'm sorry. Daguerreos are on brass. Tintypes will flake off too if you get some of them wet because the emulsion on there, it's not hardened to the metal. A tintype is on tin, a Daguerreo is on brass, and the structure of the chemicals and stuff like that, any of that kind of stuff, even some early like RPPCs or something like that, there is like some people see the solarization, it looks like a rainbow effect, like you're looking at gasoline on water. If you get some of those wet, you could ruin it even worse than it is now because sometimes that solarization, some of it's from age, sometimes it's due to chemicals that weren't mixed, or there's a bath at the end. I did photography for the yearbook staff in high school. If you don't dip it in, and I can't remember what it's even called, I'm sure Annie or somebody else will know, but it's a developer, it's like a stop bath or something like that, where it stops the exposure, the development of it. And if you don't do the process right, the thing can actually wear off. So like if you run it under water, like on an RPPC or something, some of that image could just wash off. You never know what's going to happen. So I don't mess with old stuff like that at all. The rule of thumb is sell it like it is for the most part, for almost anything. And I do repair some things. And I have touched on paper repair. She helped me out with a couple of paper repairs the other day. I do touch on paper repairs in the Patreon, but again, these are like some of my prized ways to increase and make money for myself. So I don't share them with the entire world. I just can't give away every secret in the world, because if I gave everybody the secret, then people would be buying up stuff that I buy up, in doing similar items and doing repairs and things like that for them. But
what if they waterboarded you?
Yeah, I'm still not going to do it. Yeah, Archer, if you ever Archer's new episode, you should be able to watch last night or today. Let's see here.
Oh, right here. Oh, wait, no, up here. Sorry.
Let's see here. Go to Nova Scotia. It's gorgeous. Haven't been there yet, but we will at one of these days. I have some greeting cards that have brown spots on the back. Is that mold? It could be mold, or it could be what's called foxing. When you see an old book and it has little brown spots that are kind of like they fade out into just matching the paperwork, that's foxing. Anything that's paper that's vintage can get foxing marks on it. If you sell an old book and it has those little brown marks, you better darn well list that it has foxing in the condition description on that, because that's a huge ordeal for most people's foxing. Like a comic book will yellow. Vintage paper before a certain time frame will fox. And I think comic books probably do too, but they'll yellow before you ever see the foxing on it. So
right here.
Well, let's see, Carl. I have a Loope, but you mentioned you had a rare earth magnet with Where do you use those for? It's testing to make sure it's gold, or at least to know that it's not steel and it's plated. I use it for silverware sometimes, or plates and platters and things like that too. If a magnet sticks to anything like that, like you might think is silver plated, is just junk.
Or the rings that you got, remember?
Yeah, I use rings, silver or jewelry too. Show you can see the rings here. These are haul. This is a haul item.
Is that gonna show up?
Paid $10 for these. That's solid gold. All that's actual
Pink
real stones,
sapphire.
pink sapphires. And I don't remember this, but again, we ran into a score.
Peridot.
We made like we sold everything she didn't want in jewelry. This wasn't a huge long time ago, but we spent $320, I think, and we got 27 rings that were all gold.
And they all fit on my middle finger.
Yeah, they don't fit on their fingers. I know we could have them go in, but she picked through them. I think she picked and kept like about half of them or something that she liked. And then all the rest we sold to the same person I sell all my jewelry from. We walked out of there with like $3,200 the first day. And then we held on to a bracelet that she wasn't sure on. And then we ended up selling the bracelet out of there. And we paid $10 for that bracelet too. And we ended up selling that for like $1,000 for scrap gold at the time. Because gold was really high when we sold that not too long ago. But we do scrap.
Yeah.
Next time I go to take some scrap, and I may just do a trip over there because we're going by, it's near a mall by us. Maybe I'll see if he'll let me go in there for some advertisement, and I'll show you, what we do for scrap and haul. Because I don't see what he would mind on that, because it would just be going at scrap value on it. I mean, it's nothing different. The guy I go to pays the most in the entire town. He actually buys the other vendors, and you've been there. His son works for him. He makes custom jewelry. He melts his own. He's the only place I know locally that I can always sell gold-filled items by the ounce as well, too. Most of the scrappers don't mess with gold filled because gold filled is like 8 karat basically is what gold filled is. And most of the scrappers or the people that buy it don't mess with it, but he does because he melts it himself. He doesn't have a middleman in there. It's him. He's the guy. And I don't know if he sells them bars afterwards or not, but that's all the magnets for is stuff like that.
I think. Oh, right here.
One more question on that. The other thing that a magnet is really good for are being able to distinguish lead items from steel items. When, like, if you've metal detected, you'll know kind of what I'm talking about. Like if you're digging up like a lead tag or something like that. It's hard to tell if it's lead when it's been in the ground for a long time. Some lead in certain wet areas, like a Civil War bullet, will turn white, if you didn't know that. Now, in some areas, it'll turn dark black gray, which resembles a rusted piece of metal when it's in certain types of ground. And I've metal detected for 20 plus years, so I've seen every decay or patina you could pretty much imagine on a piece of metal. Magnet's a necessity for wherever you go. Always take a magnet and always take a loop. I don't care where you're going. The magnet is the number one thing. If you run over something that looks like gold, even if it says 14 karat gold and you don't have a test kit, that's your best bet. The place I go to has a laser beam. I don't know if you saw it since he's gotten it.
The guy that...
The state jewelry guy.
The one who does his own stuff.
Yeah,
melts.
It's a box thing. He just puts something in there, and a beam of laser hits it, and you can instantly tell. Yeah, it'll come up on a screen to the T. It's got 100% accuracy from what he says. It blows away all the other tests. It can tell gold plating instantly between solid gold as well too. He's one of the few that I've seen that has. Most of them have the little gun which runs like 150 for a so-so model. Their accuracy isn't very good. It's probably about 80% of the time on the guns. So just FYI, there's a lot of factors. And if you're pointing it at something specific, it's hard to get the right spot. Part of it might be gold, part of it might not be. So it just depends. Hopefully that answers that, Carl.
Annie.
No, you will see them in New England. I get them all the time for New England. In fact, New Jersey, there's a bunch of Mass and stuff in here too, Massachusetts. Roller skating labels were a thing in the North. Because in the winter months, people would, even when I was a kid, we'd roller skate, or at least tell our parents we were going roller skating, whether that's what we did or not, in the winter, because most people, you didn't go outside, you didn't do a lot of stuff. So roller skating up north, I have found, has been a big thing. At least when I was a child, it was. It's pretty much phased out these days, but back in the 70s and even into the early 80s, it was roller skating rinks are everywhere.
I loved roller skating. We had one roller skating rink by my town in Mississippi.
She's really good at skating. I can skate fairly well, not anywhere near her. My father was I've got cousins that were in the Olympics. Eric and Beth Hayden. They
Yep.
were
Gold
medalists. They're cousins of ours, third cousins. Eric's a
doctor in
cardiologist. He has a
California.
cardiologist in
Yeah.
California for, I think he does the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. My father actually ran a ice skating rink in our town here, and he was actually accepted to the Ice Capades, and he thought about going to the Olympics and all that kind of stuff too. But
He met your mom.
he met my mom, and he actually didn't even go to the Ice Capades. But my father, I've shown a few pictures, I think, a year or so ago. I may pop some if anybody's interested. But my father, all those tricks you see the people doing on TV and the triple axles and all that stuff, my dad did them. She's seen pictures of them. I've
Yeah.
got slides of my dad, and I'm not exaggerating, like 10 feet off the ground. And I was just floored away that, he was that good. I just couldn't believe it. It was just kind of weird because he never talked about it. But I ran into, he's passed, obviously, when I was 17, and I ran into some of the slides recently, like a year or two ago, and I was just floored by, I could never imagine getting off the ground. And I'm telling you, wasn't it like 10 feet off the ground?
It was up there.
He was doing some kind of spin or something. I was just floored, but, I like that kind of thing. I like skateboarding, and I'm not a skateboarder, but I like watching it.
I tried to skateboard once.
Yeah, I'm no good at it.
Did not do well.
Let's see here. Hopefully we don't get lost in anything. Welcome, Big Brother. If I missed anybody, I just found out you can't. Oh, the perfume. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's get back. That's where we were at. We lost it, I guess. Unfortunately, after I sold some to Spain. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I had no clue that you could sell to Europe. I guess it's probably something maybe with carrying them on a plane would be my issue. It would have to go ground. Maybe that's why they're banned. Just like the spray can. You cannot send a spray can in this country via regular post office. It has to go ground only, and it has to be wrapped up a very specific way, and you have to write stuff on the outside of the box to send a spray can if you want to do it legally. I know most people don't pay any attention to that. I've seen people send nitrate film through the regular post office.
That's crazy.
We had a bunch of nitrate film that I wouldn't ship that way, and eventually we did sell it for some good money, but it came out of the old Bijou Theater in Meridian, Mississippi. We bought out their attic, and I don't know how many we had, but it filled up our porch. I did like 4 trips, and there were 35mm cases that weighed like 70 pounds
you had a little
apiece.
scrap too, and didn't you light one for
Yeah,
the kids?
we tested one with the kids, and it instantly went up in this big, huge, bright flame. It was just a very dangerous thing. The people who bought it from us, the guy was I want to say he worked for the Smithsonian Institute, and they were restoring old film for some project.
Because we had a lot of street scenes from New York.
Yeah, and there was a Mac Sennett video or a film in there that was never seen before. It wasn't even in the archives. And they spent $460 on that one alone. It was just a one reeler too. It was like a 15 or 20 minute 35mm film. That was the only known copy of that Mac Sennett, the one I had. I could have maybe got more if I, shipped it up to some major auction like Heritage or something like that. But I had no clue. I didn't know anything about that was that rare. And then I started getting all these emails. I put it up with a starting open bid. That's when we were doing auctions for like $75, and it had a $75 bid. Like in the first 2 minutes, it was up. It's just some insane thing, and I got a ton of emails on it and all. And I probably should have done that at auction, but you never know. You never know sometimes.
I gotta take the dogs out.
Yeah, the dogs. Well, one of our dogs. I will talk to you. One of our dogs, the little one, may have broken her leg yesterday, so we're taking it easy. If she doesn't get better and she's still having issues tomorrow, we're taking her in. But we think she's got a hairline fracture. Just FYI, so you won't see the little one here. She's not going up and down stairs right now. Hang on, my feed just disappeared again. Let me slide over so I can read the feed a little more. Again, I've got a ton. Let's since the wife stopped off for a minute, let me just show you a few more items. I've got space saved. I'll come back to the questions. We're not in a hurry tonight. This is a set here. These are something. This is like a premium promo item given away by one of the newspapers in the 1880s. It's a whole set of them: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Again, I spent $5 on this set. Something like this set here, not a huge value, but I'll probably get $30 out of it. So again, this is something. Again, these are 2 or 3 days worth of stuff. I don't think it's even 3 days. I think everything here is literally 2 days. No exaggeration. Let me show you something else interesting. Mike's one of my subs, and he's been on since the very beginning. He's a Patreon as well too. He talks about matchbooks and stuff. I've started to buy them because of his comment. I never thought about just putting a bunch on a scanner. The best bet with matchbooks is put like ones together, and I thank you, Mike, as well, if he's on here. Mike's a real good guy. He does a lot of radio tubes and stuff like that. But he sells a lot of matchbooks. But these are Union Pacific. I don't know how well you can see them, but it's actually the shape of a car, the box that these come in. And these are probably from the, say, 60s, 70s era. I paid $1 a box for these, for the big box, and I got 3 of these. I have not looked them up yet, but, you know, I'd imagine I'd get at least 15 or 20 bucks a box of these. There's actually glassine paper to protect the image over it, so I don't know if I'll remove that or not. You can see how dark the one looks compared to the other one. The glassine's off of this one here, so maybe that's just the way they're stored and shipped. The glassine on something like this will help you date it. 70s or before if it has glassine on anything like this. If it's a decal or something like that and it has glassine, 70s or before is a good dating structure on stuff like this. Learn my lesson on stuff and finding stuff like that. Glassine went out of fad at a certain point, just like for stamp collectors. If you collect stamps at a certain point, they used to put them in these glassine. They still do glassine to some extent, but they're more clear packages is what I see for the most of them. So anyway, let's see here. Another item here. Again, all of this is just a couple days. I got a mass bulk of stuff every single week. This is from 7 pickers, I think, in 2 days, and then maybe a couple other items. And this is maybe a 10th of the stuff I got this week alone. And again, it's a huge stack. I haven't even got anywhere near it. This is Christ Church. This is an advertising card to go to church in the 1880s. I don't even know what city this is from, but they're actually advertising other items as well, too. There's refrigerators and dry goods. And again, I buy them clean. I don't buy used items. You can see all the items I'm showing you are legit, unused items. Don't mess with the stuff that's all crudded out, unless it's something like killer. You know, I'll buy something that's kind of crudded out or stuck to something if it's worth a lot of money. If not, I try to get them clean as can be. You want them clean. If you want to be a bigwig or a roller and have a ton of items in here, you want them the best condition you can. Collectors want condition. They don't want some ratted out card. They'll only buy ratted out cards if they're fillers. So here's another one. I'll show it sideways. This is for a reception and a social concert. Admission fee, a book. You have to buy a book to get into this place here. But it's got a whole presentation on singers. Some of the people singing on here are well-known actors and actresses. I won't read them out because chances are no one's going to know who they are, but maybe me or one other person. 2 of them. This one's for the McGibney family. It's a concert by them. If you type up McGibeny in the paper section, you can see a bunch on stuff from these. Some of the stuff from them with their pictures on it goes for 100, 150 bucks. I knew the name instantly. I had many pieces from them. There are some early 1890s Victor records from them, the 7-inchers, the real small, early one-sided 7-inch records with some of them singing on it from this group. So that's a key plus for them. Other items. I buy prints, engravings. These are true engravings. I think this one is. Yeah. Here's another one. These are, I think these are well-to-do kids that actually ended up being like writers at some time, if I'm not mistaken. Most of this is $1. Most everything I'm showing you is $1 or $2, or if I had to buy a set, maybe $5. I've got some military items in here. I've got some postcards in here. I've got a few pieces of jewelry here to show you as well. Another print. Again, these prints here, probably going to put $34.50 on them. I don't think I spent $1 or $2 for most of them. This one I spent $2 on because it's got a real nice plate marking on it. You can feel the actual engraving. This one's a real deep, heavy, probably a steel plate engraving on this one, I'm guessing. This one looks like a newer one. If it was a little older in construction or make on this one, it would have probably been a copper plate. Copper plates were the first ones. It was harder to engrave into steel. They didn't have the technology later. They figured out how to do it, and they moved to steel from what I understand. So hopefully that I'm showing you something that you'll find interesting. Let's show you a couple, in fact, let's show you a stamp thing here. Duncan's on here. He likes stamps and paper. This is just a haul here. I'm going to take it out of the plastic here. Now, this is what's called, I don't know why it's showing it quite like that, but this is a stampless cover, circa 1830s or 40s. That paid $3 you see right there is the actual postage that was paid. This person went to the Glasgow, New York post office, gave them 3 cents, and this was what was stamped onto this. These, I usually pay $1 for these. Most people think the stamp's just gone. The person who I bought this from had no clue that 3 cents was even on there. Boy, I hate this color. We'll fix the background issues here on next episode. I'm sorry about that. We were trying to show you the most stuff we could, and Green screen just doesn't work. And again, the image would be so cluttered. So anyway, I do apologize. Something like this, I'm probably going to put 50 or 60 bucks on it. I'll probably sell it for 30 or 40 bucks maybe more. There's some postmarks that the city doesn't exist anymore. I haven't looked up Glasgow because I just got these again. These were literally, I just pulled these from the top of a box. When I get in a bulk purchase like this, it all just gets shoved in boxes by what it is. So, in fact, these haven't been sorted. So military will go in a spot, prints will go in another spot. It's a box on a shelf. It's new acquired items is basically what the shelf says. So here is a farewell ball for the USS New York, and this is from, geez, let's see if there's a date on this. To our departing, the captain's leaving from it. And this is an actual military book with some real nice images in it as well. And it's actually for the ball for him going away, probably circa 1910-ish, I'm guessing on it. Real nice piece here, cloth fabric. It's got the string attaching it here. As a patriotic piece, stuff like this, somebody's going to want to collect it from the USS New York. I will probably get, say, 50 or 60 bucks on this one. It's actually for the captain. It's got his name on it. I can look up his records. $1. This was $1. Aspen, Colorado. Here is a graduating class from high school. It's just the Aspen High School from 1903. Nice engraved images in the side. Again, another $1 on this one here. 30, 40, 50 bucks. There's only apparently one high school in Aspen at this time. So another good item there. Now here's an interesting item here. You have to know something about the military and some of these items. This was actually from China service. This ship, the transporter Thomas, this is from service in China. This is in Shanghai. This ship, this exact milk card is from Shanghai, China. Now, only a true collector is going to know that this ship was involved in the China base basically we had in Shanghai, because we had a base, an established community in Shanghai. If you didn't know, all that stuff's worth some money. This, without even saying China on it, it's probably, and it's a menu, probably circa 1910, 1915. The last one that actually had a China Sea date on it that I had from this same ship, and I've had 2 or 3 from this ship, I got 375 bucks for. I may have shown it in the hall even from like maybe 5 or 6 months ago, but this is something again that I look for. Most people are going to miss this. Most people think this is junk. It's just a piece of paper with food items written on it. Menus sell. In fact, let me pull out a menu here. I think I got some menus in here. Well, let me get down to the menus first. Let's just flip through some, then I'll get some more questions. The New York versus the Tennessee. This is the USS New York versus the USS Tennessee. And it's actually a boxing match on the deck of the USS New York. Boxing and wrestling. It's got the captain of the ship from both ships. This was done in San Pedro, California. Again, a California item. I got almost nothing into this. I got a stack of these, probably 20 or 30 bucks on this again. Less than $1. I think I spent 6 or 7 bucks on a stack of paperwork from the one guy. Another one, same thing, nothing into it. Another boxing match. It's Follies, maybe a stage show of some sort. You know, they're nice, clean images. There's nothing on these. Never been in anything. You know, almost perfect condition other than some wrinkles. It has the actual official, I wish you could see it. If I held this up to the light and you could see it that way, it's got watermarks in it of the official Great Seal of the United States of America. This is on official government paper as well, believe it or not. Other things for any ship you can find. This is the Knickerbocker. This is the actual newspaper that the ship pressed on the ship wherever they went. Now, I've got some from Bremerton Navy Yard. I've also got some from the Hawaiian Territory, and I've got some of these from China. It's got actually China location of prints on them. The China ones, I'm probably thinking 150 to 175. These average ones here, 30 or 40 bucks minimum. Most every ship in the military, pre-World War II, or even up into World War II, printed something like this. Almost every one. Another one, USS New Yorker. This time they were in, does it say where they're at? No, it doesn't. Now, this is a smoker. It's like a entertainment thing. It's got information on the back as well, too. It's basically wrestling again. The smokers were wrestling matches. Vaudeville show. Sometimes I'm lucky enough, and I can find autographs on these. Now, we're talking about roller skating. There's actually on the back of this Flappers roller skating. That was an event going around, and this is from 1929. Guantanamo Bay. Boy, that lighting's off. I really do apologize. I feel terrible about the way the lighting looks. Cuba. Now, I can probably get away with selling this online. I don't know if I will or not. I've got somebody who buys everything Cuba if I want to sell it to them. He's actually from Cuba. He moved here when he was 7, and he buys everything from Cuba. So, anyway, if I want to sell it to him, sometimes you can put some items up on eBay. There's still technically an embargo, and eBay will pull down Cuba items if you put Cuba in the title. So, just FYI. And talking about the shipped one, here is Old Hawaii. Honolulu, Territory of Hawaii from 1928. Yeah, 1928. It's actually on there. Again, this is a ship's newspaper, almost in mint condition. It's nice and crisp. They would print these once a week or something on a voyage across the sea. He started in California. I don't have much else other than these from this particular lot. I'll just flip through some quick ones here again. A bunch of these, 30 or 40 bucks a piece is my guess on these. I'll put one up at a time. I'll let it set for a while. Now here is the USS Mississippi, another ship, another nice condition one. No issues with this one either. And this is en route to Panama CZ. CZ is Canal Zone. We owned or were in possession of the Canal Zone while we were building it. All of our ships went through there. So it is not odd to see stuff like that. So interesting ship's content. It's just another interesting one. Here is the Texas Steer. It says Wright beats Langley. The Wright on here, if you didn't know, is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Beats Langley. You should know Langley, I would gather, too. I think this is the USS Texas as well. I haven't read up on all these. Again, I just got these. Back's got Marines win fleet whaleboat race. Interesting topics, interesting things. There's British men of war comments on this one too. Talent vaudeville. It's all kinds of stuff that happened on these ships. Those are key items I always look for. So let's hop over some more questions here. Could you talk about selling books out of or pictures out of books? Maybe a video dedicated to that subject. I have some books that might be candidates to sell the pictures. I'm not sure on pictures what you're meaning. I would not get a book up to sell a page out of the book unless it's a actual engraved or a tipped-in actual engraved image. And usually you're going to want to get those pre, 1910 or earlier. I wouldn't buy or worry about selling anything out of a book unless it's like, say, a Miro, M-I-R-O, like a tipped-in print, limited edition print. I don't mess with photos unless maybe it's a real photo or something like that, maybe. But for the most part, I don't tear apart books for stuff like that. I do tear apart and do other things with them, but most of the time, it's not worth breaking up a book to sell, wasn't it? There are some occasions where it is, but for the most part, I wouldn't mess with it. I found vintage men's tie with Coca-Cola bottle and vintage Santa on a Coca-Cola trademark. I was wondering if Coca-Cola stuff vintage still sells well. Yeah, it depends on what it is. A Coca-Cola tie, if it's really vintage. Now, vintage on Coke tie, it might be a 90s tie. 90s was the fad time when a lot of people did the advertising ties. The Tabasco ties, I used to have like 50 or 60 of those because I worked down south in, restaurants that serve fried fish, and Tabasco is everywhere down there, We use Louisiana hot sauce is the brand that we actually use on everything. I'm not a big Tabasco fan. I wore the ties because everybody had them and they were easy to get. So anyway, I would look it up, put it up there for a decent price and go from there on something like that. Hey Rick, how are you doing? Copic marker, that's it. Yeah, they layer very well. But I found some other ones that are fairly expensive, and I didn't bring them here. Maybe another video I'll throw together some of my favorite art supplies too. Anyway. Annie's saying most Coke ties sell for under $10. That very well may be the case. Some of the rare ones might go for more, but you're going to have to look them up. If it is a vintage one from the 70s or before, chances are it would go for some decent money. Most of the Coke ties that everybody talks about vintage are 80s and 90s. That's just what I, as I said, see. But yeah, you're welcome to come and help feed squirrels there. This is my 7th year selling Big Brother. This is my 7th year selling online, not just eBay. This is going to be my best month ever in the history of ever. Yeah, same here. We looked at our bank account the other day, and I'll just say it was a shocker. So, I don't usually bring out the financials. Me and the wife don't sit down and look at the financials like that too much. I look at my dailies, so I always know where we're at. But the wife was surprised when I showed her, because I'm telling you, this month has been off the hook in so many ways. whether it be sourcing, whether it be sales in general. I'm going to shoot up, and I was planning on doing it since the last week, but I'm going to shoot up a couple high dollar items that we sold really quickly. I'll do a little quick 1 minute Instagram video for those folks who are interested on some sale items that we sold. I'll just shoot you out some, just to show you some. For those in Patreon, you saw one of my single days from a week or so ago, a week and a half or so ago, so you know that my sales are crazy right now. So $4,200 in one store in 1 week, just on eBay. That's a typical this month here for us. And this is busier than my December, which last year was my busiest month last year by a little bit, by most of the other months. This is my busiest month, and I think in ever, anytime, just like Big Brother over here saying. So I'm not lying. It's not just me that's saying that. eBay has been pushing. I do think with a lot of, everybody's complained about them changing the structure of the listings and going to, like a Amazon-based system where, it's in their database. I think that helps with Google search results, in my personal opinion. So anyway, that's just what I see it at. I just listed a Raphael Tuck multi-page greeting card that was printed in Germany. This is Annie, possibly also the Raphael Tuck children's books I listed yesterday. Yeah, I have seen the books printed in Germany. It's usually the difference. What I see, and I sell Raphael Tuck stuff constantly, and I do mean constantly. I sold two today to the same person. I got 3 people that just buy Raphael Tuck from us. So I'm very intimate into Raphael Tuck. I've got hundreds of die cuts by Raphael Tuck. I was lucky enough to get an assortment of uncut sheets of die cuts from 1880s, 1890s. I got like 25 of them. So what's going to happen is I'm going to cut them up into groups of each character. So I'll have like a group of 5 different people. Maybe I'll go into that in a video too, but mostly what I see with the German markings on Raphael Tuck are books or things that were put together. I don't know what the difference is, or maybe later on in their history they started to do it that way. I'm not sure. I know there was, just like there was here when postcards changed away from Bavaria and the German printers going into the 20s because of World War II, maybe Raphael Tuck did some changeovers as well too. I know a lot of the earlier non-Raphael Tuck stuff you will say like Bavaria on it, or Saxony. Those are the 2 ones I see the most in vintage paper that has German designations on it, which are both German markings basically. So Annie's a world of information too, so she's pretty good on all that stuff too. So she's looking out for Raphael Tuck as well. That's one thing that I can tell you. I probably got a dozen Raphael Tucks in here, so it's something that shows up. Let me show you something really cool here too. This is one of my better postcards. I have not seen this one. It is not in the Halloween price guide that I have. Again, I paid $1 for this one here. I'm probably going to put like $125 on it, maybe $150 even, and just see where we go from there. It's a nice early one. I just really like the coloring on the pumpkin there. Just throw that one out there. I got a Raphael Tuck postcard or two, but Rick, I'm just learning my biggest obstacle is time allotted for listing. Every other aspect I can handle time-wise. Listing, I know there's people tell you don't list every day and it helps you and it's not going to benefit you listing every day. I don't see that as the case. Maybe if you're doing like wholesale or something, it might not be beneficial to constantly list. But in the market that I'm in, if I list every day, and again, we listed today, I had employees here, packed in here today. If I listed 200 or 300 items, and we've been having sales of the items that just went up, I'm going to sell 3 to 5%. And I say this all the time of whatever I list. So if I list 100 items, 3 to 5 of those is going to sell. Today we listed almost 300 items. I'm probably going to sell 15 or 20 new items that wouldn't have sold had I not listed those items just today. So every day I do that, I have those 3 to 5% lists that sell right away. So I've already got a boost my income coming in immediately. My labor is paid for as well with those 3 to 5 that sell. So my labor's on as well too, so I have no labor into it. And on top of that, I'm still selling the rest of my items that are up. We always sell stuff. So, once you've got a bunch of stuff up, it works this way. It just rolls in. You just keep coming in. I sell stuff that's been up for 2 or 3 years. Plus the items that are going, on a daily basis that are getting listed that day that instantly sell 3 to 5% across the board. May not be like that with other items, with collectibles. I sell them constantly. I sell them all the time. There is no break. There is no lull. It doesn't matter if it's 100 degrees outside. And chances are, if it's 100 degrees outside, I'm going to sell more because more people are going to be inside cooling off, and there'll be more chance to sell it. So usually summer months for most people, even stuff that I have sold, have not been this good ever like this. I don't have a big drop off, but I'm just up like 50 some odd percent over last month right now. So it's just been crazy to the point where I'm just getting stuff packed in with help. You know, when the mailman comes up or the mail lady, either way, who's ever here that day. So thinking I'm going to cross post most from eBay to Etsy. Less time per listing, it seems, to cross than to create an original. That could very well be. We've done that. I've listed on 3. If I'm doing records in the past before we got Sellbrite going and stuff, I would list from eBay. I'd do eBay first. I'd use that to edit the photos. I'd download a copy, and then that copy would be the ones I would use for Amazon and Discog. So FYI, that's how it works on that one. At least for us. Again, I use a third-party app these days now. Let me see here. Where are we at? Big Brother. I guess I'm one of the few people on this planet that actually like to list. I don't mind listing because, again, I know I'm going to get a boost in my sales. So it's always interesting to see how long something is up. Today, Jordan was working, and he had just listed a record. It was Bing Crosby, and it sold like in 2 minutes from the time it was up. I don't know how somebody could have got to it that quick, but he listed it. He put it in its little bin. It was Z3, I think, is the bin that it was in. And literally, he put it in there, and then click, you know, it's gone. So, I mean, stuff like that happens all the time with new listings. So, if you're not listing new items every day, you're not going to sell those items every day. So, the key is to list everything you got. We're heading towards third quarter right now. I know it's just in the summer. I have tried to get the most I can up through summertime. I don't go out and source like everybody else does. Again, tomorrow I'm going to have targeted versus random sourcing. Those are two different, far different aspects of sourcing. Most people do random sourcing. It's not practical. There's no guarantees. You can't rely on it, and that's what most people do. Most people, if you're going to a garage sale, that's random sourcing. I don't care what the picture shows of it, it's random sourcing. I do targeted sourcing. I'm going to go into that to some depth about the explanation of what that is. There's very few people that even recognize that there's a difference in that or even think about that. But that's key to boosting your sales is picking targeted sourcing. An RA going to a store to pick up a specific, like Scott the Beard Picker, he's targeted sourcing. He knows what he wants before he gets there, and he knows where it's at. So, you know, Brit Seeker, something like that, you got to use for some of this stuff. For me, for collectibles, I know what I'm getting before I get there because it's someone I've dealt with for years in most cases. If I go to an estate sale to do an appraisal or talk to somebody or to see what they got, I know what they got. You know, I don't have to sit there and wait in line if it's not anything that's practical to me. So I can use my efforts and my energy and my time somewhere else. And that's just the way I do it personally. Again, there's no right or wrong way for some of this, but targeted sourcing is key. Random sourcing, I just don't like to do the garage sales, and it's hit or miss. Thrift stores, hit or miss. I love going to those kind of places, but, you know, I've got to separate what I like to do versus getting the money incoming. And again, I do like what I'm doing, so don't get me wrong there, but I like the treasure hunt as well. Dom and me and Chris were talking about that the other day, that, you know, it's the treasure hunt. I metal detect on the site, so it's a treasure hunt, and I enjoy not knowing what I'm going to find. But, you know, I go out for the sure thing. I go out for a targeted source as opposed to random sourcing any day of the week. Again, you don't see a lot of haul videos from me because I don't want to give you my contact, my people, and most of the people don't care to be involved in a video. You know, they don't want people to know who they sell to, you know, what they're selling. You know, they may have got it from somebody else, and, you know, there's all kinds of aspects with it. Just like my oldest kid doesn't care to ever be in a video for me. You know, that's his call. I don't force anybody to do anything. So, let's see here. Leela, Annie, thank you. One son took it already for himself. Oh, okay. I love packing and shipping. Yeah, I don't mind doing any of that either. Let's see here. There is a Weeble, yeah, as I said, Weeble Treehouse. There's actually two Weeble Treehouses. There's Winnie the Pooh version and then the standard Weeble's Treehouse. And she's got, I think, both of them, actually. Meowly, I collect and sell vintage toys. I have that treehouse. We collect and sell a lot of vintage toys, more so than most people. Mostly 90s or before toys. Anything 80s, 70s, 60s or before. Marks. Muscle Man, Mask figures, not Mask in the movie, but the MASK Mask figures. Those are Kenner products. Anything, any Imagineers, any vintage toys, Star Wars toys, any movie related, any tie-ins. Mark's big into Johnny West figures, of course. Sir Galahad, any of the Johnny West lines I mess with. Any of the Mark's toys, anything Evil Knievel, Bionic Man, Micronauts, Takari, anything Mark Takari I buy. Anything. Especially G1 Transformers. Anything Mark Poppy I buy. Any Microman. If you don't know what Microman is, look up Microman. That's the predecessor to Micronauts. If you don't know what Micronauts is, you better really do some research, because everybody should know a Micronaut. If you're into vintage toys. There isn't much in vintage toys that I don't know the line of. Again, because there's only so many vintage toys. I've done this for 20 plus years, so I've run across pretty much all of them. There's some that next time I buy one, I'm keeping it, which is a Eagle One. Next time I buy a Eagle One complete, it's mine. I'm keeping it. I don't really care. That's one of the ones I grew up on. That's the first big massive toy I had as a child, was an Eagle One complete in the box. Awesome toy. They're big. They disassemble. They make a little shuttle. They come with 3 figures, the guns, the setup, the helmets, the whole works. Awesome set. If you don't know what Eagle One is, it's from Space 1999. I don't like the dinky toy versions of those. I like the big massive one. I've had one of the garage kits of those, and those go horrendously high. You could sell an Eagle One with brass fittings, the garage kit, resin brass fittings, for like $1,000. It's studio scale. If you don't know what studio scale is and you mess with vintage toys, you should look up studio scale or maquettes. Sometimes I run into toy lots and there might be a maquette in there, or a studio scale model, and that's a big difference. A scale model versus an MPC model or something is, an MPC model might go for $10. A studio scale could go for $1,000. And it's just difference in size and structure of the material as well too. So anyway. Me and my BFF used to play with some treehouse in the 70s with gnome people. Guess it might not have come with it. There's probably a bunch. I don't know how many lines made treehouses. As I said, Star Wars had a line coming out for the Ewok Adventures, the cartoon series. So who knows how many ones that had treehouses. So I know there's at least 3 lines that had treehouses, maybe more. Well, we just need to move Lister to our second favorite. Yeah, I don't mind listing, honestly. I don't mind that. Again, I get a thrill out of seeing what stuff goes for. Yeah, Mimi wants Big Brother to list for him. BitMEX, how are you doing? How much does the treehouse out for complete? It's over $100. They used to go for like $20 or $30 for the treetops, if that's what you're referring to. It's literally over $100 if everything is there. It's in good working order. If the swing, as I showed you, isn't broken. If the steps that fold down aren't snapped off. Those are the 2 most common damage you can get to any of those tree houses from the treetops. Most of the ones we find have those 2 issues with them. So if I buy a ratted one out that has the steps, as I said, I take those apart. Most of the vintage toys you can disassemble. You can even fix up some of the vintage G1s, even with joints and things like that. I'm not going to get into my inner secrets on stuff like that, but I do sometimes buy broken figures and I will repair them. You'd never know I did. I mean, there's ways to fix certain things. I'll just tell you that. Yeah, that is the pop-up tree houses, as said. Hang on here. My feed just froze up. Let me see here. I'm almost the right age for Florida. Head to Indiana for Rick Duke to help him too. Yeah, you were guessing 40 to 60 if it's missing pieces, or the stickers and decals. The floor and the walls in those can sell individually for $10 a piece if the stickers are nice on them. Let me just pull it back up here on one of these. Again, I've got several of them. So like on the bottom of this, there's stickers. If the stickers are bad, I will take and swap out platter here, this piece. If the walls are bad, I can swap those out. If the handle's ripped, that's the easiest fix to handle. Now, even the spring mechanism in this can be disassembled and fixed to actually be used on another one. So most of the time, like if I broke or had a broken Y-wing the other day from the 1978 release Star Wars, I replaced the wing. I had a broken wing a broken one that I bought in a big bulk lot. That's why I always buy bulk lots of toys, even random pieces. I don't care if it's all there or not. Vintage 80s before toy parts will always sell. Even just little guns from like an original 1978 Boba Fett gun, you might get $10 for. They remake those, so you gotta know the difference. If you buy them in a vintage lot, you're pretty darn safe that it's an original 3 3/4 inch Star Wars gun. The blasters, the Stormtrooper blasters. Those original ones go for some decent money. It depends. There's two versions of those too. The original guns on the vintage Star Wars. There's a bluish color one, which is like the 80s, I think Empire-wise and back, or newer is when the color change came. The original Star Wars 78s I found are most all black. There's also many different versions of this same figure, depending like Lily, what's the company? I can't think of the company, but there's a Mexican company that made them too. And Lido, I think, maybe, or Lily, something like that, I think it says on them. I can't remember the name. I've got so many figures in my head these days. Let me move on from here. Yeah, I don't pass on any of that stuff. Yeah, we had tornadoes in the general area. Not right around here, but we had some horrendous storms. Will I purchase baseball bats and golf clubs? I do not purchase most sporting equipment unless it's dirt cheap and I know the item. I don't know most sporting items. I do mess with golf clubs because it's pretty easy to look up a name brand golf club, and we have sold some high dollar golf clubs and some bags and stuff like that too, but I don't usually mess with it because of the size and space it takes up. If I'm walking up on a deal, something like that would probably go locally, or I'd take them into like one of these, like Buy It Again Sports or something like that, and sell them that way, truthfully, especially if I didn't pay much for them. It'd be a quick turn on something like that. Welcome, Midwest Picker. Yeah, it's pretty dark outside. We've got almost complete coverage again. Welcome, Carolina Picker. Hey, Stephen Rose Resells. How are you doing? How many inverted Jenny stamps in your safe, Don? None. Somebody showed me one of a block of new ones. They re-released the inverted Jennings, or Jenny, and the Jenny is the aircraft that's on the stamp, if you didn't know. An inverted Jenny is like the most expensive U.S. stamp ever made. It's an upside-down plane, basically. Like one sheet. Well, I guess it's a main sheet with 4 small 100 stamp sheets, I think is what all got out. So 400 of those were ever found. And they were so popular, the U.S. government reissued them, and they randomly inserted, I think, 100 upside-down inverted Jennies into the new release of those stamps, too. So I have seen some of the new ones, and some of those, they'll go for some decent money as well, too. Stop, Bath, and Fixer. That's what it is, Annie. Thank you. I figured you'd be the one to know right off the bat. Yeah, that's exactly. The Fixer is the issue, the last one, I believe, the solarization. And that's why I say if you get some of these wet, a lot of the material, like a card or printed card, there is no fixer to it. So the ink process back then could be washed off with simple water. Now, I know I see people talking about doing it and stuff. Annie mentioned there's videos. You're taking a big chance, especially if you spend some money on something, on any of this stuff. I'm just warning you straight out. There's no sense in me buying them. Here's another perfect example. Now, here's an engraved card. Never been in something again. Buy them clean. Buy the cards clean. This is, a $2 purchase. This is probably a $100 turn and flip on this one, maybe more. You can actually feel the ink on here, the engraved ink on this one. This is a nice card, 1870s all the way, engraved. A good $100, I would gather. So, I buy this stuff weekly. You got to buy it clean. You got to buy it easy. Don't waste your time messing with stuff. The only time I mess with doing something is repairing something that's worth some good money. Sometimes I'll buy damaged stuff just to repair. It depends on how much time it takes me to repair. I've done so many repairs in my day and age that, I can just go in there and instantly know what to do with the item. I could say I'm a conservator to some extent on some items here too. Let's bring on a couple more items and I'll get to some more questions. Now you've got my tag on it. This is Action Gum by Gaudy, 1938. The blue. Let me pick a different one here. These are non-sports trade cards. Oh, always blue on the cards. Here's one that doesn't. It still has blue in it too. I'm not having much luck on these, am I, today? Here's one. But Action Gum. These are original 1938, real good condition. This is typically what you want to find. Not worth a ton of money. Horrors of War cards from these are worth the most. I buy anything that's paper that's collectible and I can sell. I don't care what it is. I don't think there's an area in paper that I haven't bought recently. Dollar-wise, $14.50 each on these cards. Again, I'm sorry about the blue there, but $14.50 each on these cards. I got 15 or 20 of them here. I paid $5 for a big box of this stuff here. So again, I've pulled up the ones that are worth the most money here. This is gum ink. I think this is War Pictures, another gum ink set. Totally different set. 1930s again, or 1939. So again, this is the kind of stuff I find almost weekly. I don't think there's a time that goes by that I don't run into trade cards, postcards, labels, stickers, stamps, paper of any kind, military. Here's wings. Here's gum ink again. Here's Skybirds, another set. Again, this one's all blue, so again, my lighting's terrible. Skybirds. Let's see here, what else we got here? Here's another card set from 1938. Here's Horrors of War. Here's some Horrors of War. Now, they're not all worth money, but these are World War II Horrors of War cards. Some of them have some pretty graphic incidences and scenes in them. If you haven't seen them before, they're smaller than the modern day cards. Real nice condition. Not anywhere near mint. These are not worth grading in any way, shape, or form. But you know, price-wise on these, what did I figure out on these? I'm gonna get $24.50 on these cards. Now I picked out a couple cards with military high-ranking people on them. Those cards might go for $50 or $60, but the common ones I bulk lot up here like this. So again, I don't care what it is. If I'm gonna make some money off of it in paper, I buy it. It's easy to ship, easy to buy. Some of them aren't worth a ton of money, so don't think if you run into some of these, you're going to be having a fortune out of here. Here is Uncle Sam trading cards. I think this is gum ink as well. Yeah, gum ink as well, 1941. Again, a picker. I bought these from a picker. I have nothing into them. Didn't look like much to him, so, you know, I'm not going to argue with it. Let's see, what is this one here? The World in Arms. This is another set here. Nice big stack of them here. As a lot, $57.50. I got $5 into all of these. And I'm not showing you, but just a small assortment of what I got. So here's 1941, 42 War Gun cards. Another set. This one has some better people in it too. So what does this one say? Ecker leads first All-American bombing run. Like the Doolittle's run and stuff here. Flying Tigers, another good card right there. So this is the kind of stuff that I find wherever I go. Again, I've got people that sort this stuff out and find it for me. They'll call me. I don't go to garage sales like you do, and I'm not trying to brag. It's just I've worked my way into doing this. I've got, you know, a ton of paper on eBay. I've got more than the majority of people. I'm probably in the like top 15 or 20% on paper sellers, I would say, all of eBay. It's taken me a long time, but I don't care what it is. Uncle Sam does very well. Remember Pearl Harbor. This is actually a military free. You see free written up there. That means it was done by a soldier, sent this card off. And it's got his information on there as well, too. Most of these Remember Pearl Harbor cards I get $15-20 for. No exaggeration. That's typical on that. I don't know if this one is going to show very well. Let me just show you the inside. This is Circus Performers. Yeah, it's not going to show. I'm sorry. Let's just put that on aside. That one either. Here's a calendar. And this is, again, a circus collecting organization. 1947 calendar. 50 cents I think I paid for this. It's got some nice print on the top of it. $15-20. Here's another line of stuff that we get. I'll get to questions after this item here again. I'm not trying to ignore anybody here, but I know people like to see what I got. This is a menu from Norddeutscher Lloyd Bremen. Now that's a shipping, transatlantic steamship company line. And again, it's a nice one here. Let's see. Again, nice all the way around. First feeding of the Infants Association, SS Columbia. Now you can look up the SS Columbia. This is from 1930, the actual date when this was made. And this is just a menu card. You usually pay $1 or $2 for these. I get $15-20 on average. That's one, same company. That's number 2, number 3, number 4. Again, I got more than just these here too. And again, all nice. In fact, there's something shoved in this one here. Autograph card. Now, I've gotten some of these with famous people on them. I've gotten some that had autographs on them. I got General Pershing's autograph, which I'm keeping off one of those books. Let's see here. Another calendar. Now, this is the Two Jades. They're actually a stage performing acrobatic group. Again, I had to figure that one out on my own. This is from 1946, and it still has the complete calendar with all the pages attached. So again, $1 for this, $50 I'll put on it. I'll probably end up getting 25 to say $40 in my guess on this too. So let's get to some questions here again. Hopefully I'm not killing everybody bopping around. I know everybody likes to see some of these items, so I'm really trying to show you a bunch of stuff today too to give you some better content here. Let's see here. And again, thank you on the comments on the bath and the solarization on that. Yeah, doing it wrong will really mess up stuff. Yeah, foxing can destroy stamp collections. Yes, that is definitely a possibility. Some items you don't want to get wet. You don't want to mess with some of that. Again, if the paper that a stamp is on is colored, the ink could run in and actually stain the stamp. And if the stamp is stained, it could totally kill the value on the stamp. Just FYI on that. So Duncan is 100% right on that aspect of it here. Let's go down. So if their rare earth magnet does not stick to something, it may be worth something. It will eliminate, like if I find a platter that's silver plated, what I use a magnet for, I will check it out. If it doesn't stick to it, chances are it's brass or something I can actually swap. Brass goes for a couple dollars a pound. If I'm spending 50 cents on a tray, I'm going to buy it for the scrap value. I'll check it with a magnet, and it goes in a bucket. And then I take it down when I get a couple 100 pounds of it. A couple 100 pounds of brass is a lot of money. It's 200 pounds brass is like $500-600 possibly, depending on the price of brass. And 200 pounds of brass, it does not take much to get. If you go to a couple garage sales or an auction like me, you might get a bucket of brass fittings from an old plumber or something like that that may go for $10. You know, believe it or not, it's the kind of stuff that you can get at sales and auctions like that too. Sometimes it'll be a tray that may weigh like 5 pounds, and you know it's made of brass, and you know it may be $1. You know, that's $15 worth of scrap. You know, all I'm going to do is take it home and throw it in a bin. You know, I've got the big totes, and I'll throw it in a tote. So when I get so much of it, that goes to a metal recycler, not scrapper for like gold and silver. Why I don't throw much away. You know, pretty much if I can't sell it individually, it goes in a lot. If I can't sell something in a lot, it's going to get thrown up on a local live auction, a big like a table clearing, or I'll throw it in a junk drawer lot on eBay. Those are your options. I don't throw away much at all anymore these days. We used to write off some stuff and stuff like that, but I've learned that you can get rid of your junk if you buy correctly. Most of what I buy at least looks like it has a good value to it, or some sort of value if you buy stuff like I do. So I'll buy stuff just in the intent that if I pick a couple items out of it and I sell it, I can always take the rest to a local live auction and have them mess with it myself, you know, instead of me. You know, who cares? I'm still getting my money back out of it, even doing it that way. So hopefully that makes a little sense there. Let me see here. Is foxing like a rotten piece of fruit to where you should isolate immediately because it could spread super fast? Now, I don't know if it spreads or not. I don't know. I don't know if it's from bugs or what it's from. I'm not sure on that. XRF scanner. I'm not sure on that. Antique vintage Native American collectibles. You got to be careful. You can't sell Native American items on eBay in many areas unless you can show provenance, that you actually have permission or you legally possess them, or that they're over a certain age, I think. I know you can't legally, I'm almost sure it's Georgia, you can't sell any Native American relic to Georgia or out of Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on the actual state, but I'm almost sure that it's Georgia on that one as well too. So just FYI, I probably won't even get to all the paper I got here, but I've got, you know, quite a few things that I haven't even got to. Labels. This one's pretty interesting. Let me just show you one more item. Something else I look for, and I do find these. Unfortunately, the blue is gone in this one. It's a complete thing. You can see it a little better this side. It's a dime thing that you would give out for Christmas. 1940s. Again, most people don't think much of something like this, but I'm going to put 30 or 40 bucks on this one here, so it should be a good sale on my behalf here anyway. So let's get back to some more questions. Again, I know we're bouncing around here, but I'm trying to show you and answer questions too. So let's see here. There are a lot of laws and regulations. Yeah, Native American going into that. Mail state lines. You want to read up on that. I don't mess with Native American items unless I have a certificate or a statement from the owner verifying purchase. I always want to keep line of purchase and provenance with any Native American item if you're going to sell it. The only other thing I can say is you can mostly sell those locally. I have sold a lot of arrowheads. We had a huge assortment that we bought like 10 years ago that we ended up selling every one of them on eBay. The rules and laws have changed since then, so I've turned down a lot of Native American collectibles, in all honesty. My wife's family is Native American, so if it's a certain tribe, Choctaw or something, we could probably get a letter from Tonka or one of the chiefs from the Choctaw tribe in her area. So back at you. Let's see here. Let's see if my feed will disappear. As a kid, yep, it just disappeared. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can get back up to where we were. We are running towards the end, so I'm going to try and get to some more questions before we cut it off. Yeah, my feed's way off. If I didn't call you out, I do apologize again. My feed does bounce out over. I'm seeing a few names. Jacob, welcome. Trader, Jax, welcome. Kimberly, welcome. Again, it's all over the place. So again, if I missed you, I'm sorry. Scott 1885, welcome. I think I'm getting closer. Yeah, here we are. Let's see here. Yeah, here's Michelle. As a kid, we would go to the roller skating rink every weekend. It was still big in the 70s and 80s in my book, in my area. I feel like every time I went to the roller rink as a kid, they were playing Xanadu. Yeah, Xanadu was very popular. There was disco night at ours, and they got the disco ball out too. eBay told me that the perfume to Europe thing is more like a trade regulation deal because of competition with Europe, French perfume companies. That could very well be. But perfume, a lot of the perfume has alcohol in it, and you cannot send certain alcohol-related items overseas. So I know there may be some regulations with the safety aspect of that being on a plane. Just FYI. I know once before I had to send something like that went to Australia on a surface, and it took like 6-7 weeks. It was a long time to get there. So welcome from Washington State. Firster Cyber, rock and roll reseller. How you doing? Matches ship via ground only also. Yeah, matches are supposed to be that way as well too. Yes, that is correct. Anything flammable cannot go in regular mail. Ground only. So you're gonna usually I put all that stuff in a box and literally write. And it's got to be written as certain many inches on the bottom and certain ways around the box and all that. I have a chart. I literally have a printout that shows a example of it on each side of the box and all that kind of stuff. So whoever's here shipping out that day knows. And it's just one of those items we always have to be careful on. So let's get down to some more. Have yourself a good dinner there, big brother. Spokane. I have not been to Spokane. Brown Bushman. I'm doing great actually today. We are caught up for the time being. Again, we are running to the end here. I usually say it's going to be an hour show, and I never run an hour. It's usually 2 hours, so FYI. You know what has been selling great for me on eBay? Furbies. Now, I know a little bit on why that's selling. There's been a couple viral videos on some people that turned a Furby into a musical instrument. They synced up like 50 or 60 Furbies, maybe even more than that all worked, and they've tied them to a keyboard, so when you press it, the Furbies make the noise. Look up Furby and musical instrument. I think you'll see it on YouTube here. There's been a ton of people buying them for projects like that since the first one went up. People have told me that, and that's literally what I see the reason being, since it happened around the same time that these videos started to pop up. Just like the floppy disk songs that you hear. What's it? The Floppatron. Type in the Floppatron, and it's all kinds of songs done with nothing more than electronic equipment. So like when the floppy drive, the old style floppy drives, the 2 1/4 or whatever size they are, is activating or scanning, that's part of the music in his video. So a lot of that kind of stuff now is selling for people who are doing YouTube stuff for it, believe it or not. It doesn't take, there's not a lot of Furbies that work on eBay compared to what it used to be 10 or 15 years ago. So that's what a lot of people have found out, that you can actually hack a Furby and wire it into something and get it to actually do sounds and things, which I didn't know until recently. So FYI, I think that's what the Furby issue is, in my personal opinion. Have you got an original menu from the SSS Titanic? I have had one, yes, I have had one. I've also had one from the Lusitania, which I have shown on this channel. Both of those ships sunk, obviously. The Lusitania was torpedoed at one point and sunk. But I have had items from the Titanic, including postcards and some shirt uniform buttons and a couple other pieces. I've had a piece. Now, again, it's not necessarily all the items I can say 100% were on the Titanic, but the identical item would have possibly been used by the White Star Line on other ships. So they're all called Titanic items when you list them online. There's no verifiable way, but they're 100% identical to items that would have been on the Titanic. Postcards obviously is a Titanic item that you can bonify as a Titanic postcard. The menu cards say the Titanic on them. And some of those were off the ship before it actually departed. So some of those are still floating around, just like postcards sent from the launch day. There are some of those out there as well. A postcard from the Titanic, I think the last one we have sold, and I sold a couple of those. The last one went for around $600. So they're not as high as you would think. The Lusitania menu sold for almost $400. And some of them, the postcards, depending on the specifics on the Lusitania or some other ships that have been sunk, can go for almost as much as the Titanic. It's not something strange. I've shown you sheet music from the Titanic as well. There's other issues and things tied to the Titanic. You are going to have the opportunity to run across one of those sometime in your life, I would hope, because I do run across them. But I look at tens of thousands of postcards, and a lot of people don't even look at what's written on the postcard. They'll see a ship, $5. They won't realize that the ship is the Titanic, and it says that on the card. I'm dumbfounded when I run into something like that. And there's many ships and there's many items like that, not just the Titanic. So don't just lock yourself into that one ship. I've shown you cards that have been flown on the Hindenburg that I personally own. There's a ton of stuff like that out there. It's not as rare as you would think. Yeah, they go for some good money. You're not going to see them, all the time, but they're out there. And I do have them, and I do run into them. So next Titanic card, I'll do a big thing, and I'll show it to you, too. So, again, I have seen one recently, but I wasn't going to pay $400 for it, and the opportunity that I might make $5 because the condition wasn't that good. And I tried to get the guy talked down. He wasn't going to budge because he knew what he could sell it for somewhere else. So, that's what I run into on some of those high-dollar items like that. Well, thank you, CJ, on that. Yeah, things are going fairly well. My son obviously still has issues, but I don't want to get into that today. It's been a trying time with him in the hospital, so I'm going to stay away from talking about my son today. I don't want to be, an emotional issue on anything here on the channel. Civis, I'm not sure, SYSBS, we have switched to the payment system on our other account, and we haven't had any issues. I'll probably just do it on this one here just to get it done with here in the next couple months, but haven't been rushing to get it done here. I have no issues with running it on my other store, and the sales volume is about the same. So, we do thousands a week in any of the stores that we have in these areas. So, Lex likes listing. I don't mind listing at all because I know I'm going to sell 3 to 5% of what I list. And maybe it's going to be $1,000 item, maybe it's going to be a $200 item, and I'm going to have a couple $100 just popping in my bank account there. So, my joy is my family. My joy is looking at my bank account these days. And I've got multiple accounts. If you've got a business, get yourself a business account. And if you're running and you have employees or you have an accountant, get yourself 2 business accounts. One is a transfer account, and one is an account that your accountant or whoever's paying your taxes for you has access to. So I know people say as an accountant, you don't give out, accountants never going to ask to do direct payments. I don't know who would tell you that because nowadays most everything is paid online to the state internal revenue or whatever your state has for their agency. My accountant pays all of our workman's comp. I've got 2 accountants, as I said. One does my employee payments, and the other one does my taxes. So the employee accountant has access to a specific bank account. That's why I say you need 2 bank accounts for business, minimum. I have more than 2 business accounts that all go to the same business. Then we also have another bank account that goes to our other businesses. We do own several businesses these days. We also have several personal bank accounts, depending on what we go. So most bank accounts as a business are free. I'm not going to give you my bank name, but most of the banks around here will offer you as a business a free bank account, business account. And you want that. You want credit for your company. It will also tie to you. So if you've got bad credit, you can actually get loans and stuff as a business loan to help your business that way. Don't ruin your credit. Don't mess with credit, ruining your credit at all. So just a word to the wise. We messed up when we were younger and first got together. I know way better now. I've got a horrendously high credit score rating, and I'm not trying to brag or anything. So we messed up. I charged stuff we shouldn't have when I was younger, 19, 20. Yeah, learn your lesson. We're very wise and all that stuff now. We don't make stupid decisions. We look everything up. My wife and I are partners in everything. I do not buy anything or stuff for the house unless we both agree on it. And we almost always agree on everything. We're two peas in a pod for most everything we do. My wife is my best friend. No exaggeration. I don't know many people that are like us. Most people think we're weird. We're out there. We're cuckoo or something. When we lived in Mississippi, people would always say, "You must be from California," because of the way we talked. And it just was odd and everywhere. We got that all the time. It was always California. I don't know why everybody said California instead of some other place, but we don't fit in with the normal stream of people, and that's fine. We've got our own friends and stuff, and I'm a sci-fi nerd. So anyway, let's get back to some questions here. I know we're running late. I'll get a few more in here, regardless of it being 9 o'clock. I'll just get a couple more in here too. Let's see here. Community yard sale and church sales on my list of Saturday. Galaxy 5000. Church sales are almost always the bomb. The number one thing that I make the most money on at a church sale, usually, I don't mess with clothing, so I'm not going to go to clothing aspect of it. Jackets I do buy, but are sheet music. Most every church sale around here, I've run up on sheet music, and not just a couple sheets. The last church sale I went to last month, I got like 50 or 60 pounds with, and I think I've talked about it before. I don't think I did a video on it yet. You kind of get to not remember which videos you've done on some of those when it's been a little while, but I buy by the pound sheet music, and if I spend $20 on 50 pounds of sheet music, all I got to do is sell maybe one single sheet to get my money back. And mostly I don't buy big bulk lots of sheet music like that unless I see large format sheet music. Now, large format sheet music, the modern day sheet music's about the size of a modern magazine. A large format's more like the size of a Saturday Evening Post or a something along that line. The bigger size. Saturday Evening Posts are a lot larger than a standard magazine. So large format are what you want. And again, I did a Roman numerals video. You're going to need that. You're going to need to know Roman numerals for sheet music. If you're going to church sales, look for sheet music. Roman numerals are on almost all of that stuff. They're on movie posters, everything. You got to know your Roman numerals. So again, I've got that video out there. I know a lot of people aren't up on it, don't care to mess with it. Once you know, it's fine. You got to know your Roman numerals, though, for what I do. Probably 30% of what I buy has Roman numerals on it to date. I know you can Google it and all, but wouldn't it be nice to be able to do that while you're out and go 1921, 1931? And I might just do a little snippet. Somebody made a comment, and I will agree that I didn't do it right on the Roman numerals video. I should have had shown you a Roman numeral on an item and then showed you how to translate it into actual date, which I will do in a little quick snippet in some other video. So I apologize to those of you who wanted that. I will put that out there, so just FYI. Let me see here. I do Hawaiian shirts we sell, bowling shirts, vintage bowling shirts. We've done extremely well. $150, $200 for some nice bowling shirts from the 50s and 60s. Talking about Hawaiian shirts, you want the ones that were made in Hawaii. If it says TH on it, Territory of Hawaii, those Hawaiian shirts can go for like $1,000. Again, I might buy something like that, but I don't see them anymore. I used to see that kind of stuff 15 or 20 years ago, silk shirts like that. Let's see here. Let me pop down and get to this one I want to read, though. Duncan, eBay is like time machine. What you list today will sell later on. Again, long tail items. That's what the majority of my business is I list something today and it's going to sell some other time. 3 to 5% though sells that day. And Don could probably tell you the same basic figures on that. If you don't list daily, your sales will drop because of that. Yes, because again, if I list daily, I'm increasing my sales on average a couple $100 every day. I'm adding to whatever I would normally sell anyway. And again, it just keeps spiraling. Your amount of sales just keeps going up. Literally, it's a spike. Excuse me. That's the philosophy that works for me. You know, I don't worry anymore at all. I've got sets amount of sales we have every single day of the week. You know, I have many days in some weeks that I sell over 1,000 in one day. You know, in one store or the other. It's just a standard when you have this much stuff to sell. You know, I could show you stuff of what I've gotten in the last 7 days, probably for 10 hours. You know, just because I buy it in so much bulk. This little envelope, this little thing here, there's probably 500 little items in here, poster stamps, labels, California items in here as well too. So this is a purchase in the last 2 days. Each one of those items in there, the 500 items, I can list separately. Each one of those, you know, I've picked through and got better ones. So, you know, that was a collection I bought. That came from an estate sale. Now, I'll give you that one. That was an estate sale. Most of them are California. That's why I bought it. California is hot. That's the #1 area that I look for stuff in. Okay, let's slide down. I'm going to have to cut it off in just a second here. The wife's just stepped back in. There is somebody here too. And Emily's asking on expense or experience with Native American items. I'll just touch on this one here. Yes, we have had Plains Indians moccasins. I've had a real nice set of Lakota. I've had probably 30 pairs of moccasins, or at least 30 parts of moccasins. Once in a while, I've run into just one moccasin, so it's not always a pair. I've had tobacco pouches, not really old ones that go for tens of thousands, but, you know, 400 or 500. I've had powder horns. The best thing I could say for Native American that I've had is the Lakota moccasins, and they were early 1870s beaded. I am not super well on all of the items, but I'm usually very, very good on being able to tell the age on beaded items because the beads can give it away instantly. There were certain colors of glass and certain beads that weren't available in trade at certain times. One that you almost never see, at least I never run into, are the really deep red ones, red glass beads, because gold was in those beads, so they didn't use those for trading. They were too valuable for that. At least that's one of the ones that I see. I can usually tell Plains Indians from most other Indians. Now, I don't know most other tribes, but Plains Indians and Choctaw, I'll say I can tell usually too. And some Seminole items are pretty easy. But Plains Indians in general, I have a book by T.A. Mall, I think is his name, and it's just on traditions of the Plains Indian. It's a brown book, and it's usually sitting right around here because I've done some illustrations out of that too. But that book is a real good one if you want something to get. And I think I did get another one of those actually, one at a hall not too long ago. But Mall is the guy's last name. T.A. Mall or T.J. Mall, I think, is the guy's last name. Let me just cut it off. I've got a bunch still here, and I do apologize. I do try to get to everyone on here. Let me shoot off one more here. Have you noticed an increase in sales since you have had your YouTube channel? I don't think I see any difference in collectibles selling from the YouTube channel, but artwork and other things do sell. I do have an increase. We went from doing 10, 15,000 a year in our own personal postcards and things like that to almost double that from going online, from doing that. I do artwork, and I've worked for Disney, so I want that business, the publicity from it. That's the only way you can get your artwork out there. So, yeah, part of what I do is related to artwork. Everybody who's been on for a while knows I've been floating back and doing a second channel for artwork. I've been warned by other folks who have had channels that were doing very well, and they put other topics and interest on there, and they lost like half their subscribers. So I would like to move up in subscribers. I know a lot of people, I'm not their thing, and they want to see just the haul videos and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I'm going to be trying to give you more educational stuff, just because if I'm going to waste my time, I would rather educate somebody than just give some entertainment, I guess, so that's just me. I appreciate those that educate versus those that just are trying to make a quick buck. If I wanted to make more money, I could just crank out some haul videos or go to garage sales with, my spy glasses or a GoPro or something like that. I'll take the 5 out or something, and I just don't want to do that because I don't go to hauls like that. I don't have to anymore. And again, tomorrow's video is going to be targeted sourcing versus random sourcing. A huge difference. They're night and day. One will make you more money and save you time, and one is just potluck. So anyway, let's just cut it off there. Again, I do apologize if I haven't got to your video. Anybody has questions, I usually don't get a chance to go back, but since I didn't get to a lot of them, put some comments, questions, anything you need to know down below in the feedback. I'm going to check this live feed on your questions on this one here. So again, comment down below if you've got any questions. If I missed you, you didn't get a question in there, I promise you I will at least go and answer these questions from this live feed, hopefully by tomorrow evening for you. So again, comment below if you have any questions. I didn't get to you, you want to know about an item, something like that. Again, for those in Patreon, video's up there. It's like an hour long. It's a massive long video. It's all questions, pretty much all answers to your questions. So again, I had 10 pages of questions for Patreon for all you guys in their loans. So again, I appreciate everybody coming on. I appreciate all the help. I appreciate the support. If you haven't hit the like button on the show, go ahead, please hit the like button for me. Comment below, leave some feedback if you need anything on that too. And I thank you for coming on. I hope everybody has a good sales day. I will see you again next week, so enjoy yourself.